My name is Chy,
And I'm Alex.
and this is BL in the Air, a podcast where we talk all about Thai BL dramas. So today we are doing our second part on Pit Babe. Last week we talked about the first half of the show, and then this week we're talking about the second half. So if you haven't listened to the first part, this isn't gonna make any sense. Probably. I assume you've seen the show though, because if you haven't seen the show, we're gonna be spoiling all of it. So there's your little warning there. But before we get into it today, we like to talk about what we're currently watching. So what's in the air for you, Alex?
Oh gosh, what isn't in the air this week? I swear. Um,
How many shows?
so I went on a Japanese binge because one of our friends in the Discord server recommended a few shows.
Mhm.
So I watched My Personal Weatherman and My Beautiful Man, seasons 1 and season 2. I really liked My Personal Weatherman. I wanted it to be a lot longer, but all three shows are similar to like the Korean ones where they're really short.
Yeah.
Um, and but they were all three I'd say really good, but My Personal Weatherman was my favorite. The other one, everybody just needed some therapy. Um,
Yeah.
but besides that, 4 minutes. I need you to watch 4 minutes.
I will. The more you talk about it, the more
I
I'm
am
making you want to watch it.
dying.
Like I do want to watch it too, but I just I suffer so bad when shows air week to week.
Suffer with me. There's only
Okay.
8 episodes. We're on episode
Oh.
3.
Okay,
So
that's not too bad, honestly.
yeah, it's fine.
I will say I do kind of like watching shows week to week that are more like shows that you kind of have to figure out what's happening as the show goes on, and from what I hear, like that's kind of how it is where you just like don't really know what's happening with the plot until we get farther.
Yeah, so Saman, who is the show writer, the screenwriter for it, has said that episode 4 is where things will start to be cleared up.
Okay.
Which with episode 3, it's you can see it's starting to set things up to start explaining everything. So I'm like, okay.
Because I love like speculation, so that's kind of fun to do, like to make predictions and stuff like while a show is airing. So I might
Yeah,
be down with that, honestly.
yeah. There's a lot where I'm like, I have no idea. I've been reading a lot of fan theories because everyone's like, I don't know what's going on. Um,
Yeah.
but but Bible's doing a great job. Jess is doing a great job. I'm so here for Jess Bible. I need them to keep doing BLs together.
Yeah.
And then there's I don't know how to say his name. Fuaiz or A's. It's Fuaiz. Um,
Hmm.
so he's 18 on in
Huh.
he so I think we talked about, I don't remember if we did, that before the first episode of 4 minutes came out, that Beyond Cloud like put out a statement saying that they got parental permission for the scenes in the show.
Yeah, yeah.
And he's the reason why.
Okay.
But I will say he is killing it with his character. He's doing such a good job. He is absolutely going to be like a rock star like actor like
Okay.
in his career. Like I feel it. Like he, even outside of the NC scenes, he is killing it with his character. I am so in love with his character. Not that his character's a good person, to be perfectly honest.
That's even better though. I love like
Yeah.
a bad or like a morally ambiguous character, you know.
Yeah.
Those are like the ones I attach to the most, I think.
So yeah, he is a show stealer. Like that's what's happening. Which I think part of that is because of the NC scenes. So we'll see
Mm.
how that changes because apparently next week we're getting just Bible NC scene.
Okay. Yeah, because when they put out that statement, I was like, okay, Jess and Bible are like 30 or something. I was
Right?
like, why would their parents need to be giving permission for
Yeah.
this? But yeah, that makes a lot more sense than if
Yeah.
there's like a younger actor involved.
Yeah. But the show, it's so good. I need to rewatch it because I think I missed some things because there's like something where certain people are siblings that apparently was addressed and I just completely missed that. And that
Okay.
pieced together some things for me once I found that out.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, it's been a good time.
Okay.
Oh, that is the highlight of like I wake up Friday morning and I'm like, okay, I have to get through 8 hours of work and then I can watch this.
Yeah, I love when shows come out on Friday because then it's just like a little treat at the end of the week, you know?
Yeah. I just having to get through 8 hours of work is torture.
Yeah.
Especially, like, Bible is so active on Twitter when it's coming out, like, he's tweeting constantly and replying to people, and I'm like, I just wanna watch. I need to know what happened.
Yeah. Like, please, Bible, don't spoil this for me, please.
Right? But it's such a good time. It's like Friday night, I just come home and I, like, throw everything down and just watch. Um,
Yeah.
so,
Okay. Yeah, I'll get started on that. I've been really slacking on watching shows lately.
yeah. Well, what's in the air with you?
So, okay, so the reason why this week, I feel like every week I have an excuse why I haven't been watching much, but I got a new video game that I'm like absolutely obsessed with. It's called Fields of Mystria, and it's basically like a Stardew Valley type game. So, I've been playing like so much of that. I think I looked it up. I played 16 hours like 4 or 5 days. So, yeah, so I've been doing a lot of that.
That's valid, though.
Yeah, in my defense, the NPCs you can romance are very attractive, and
Ooh.
I think you can romance a dragon? Question mark. I don't really know what the deal is with that, but
What's the
yeah,
name of this game again?
it's called Fields of Mystria.
I typed in, like, FI and it popped up as a search.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, it just was released for early access like a week ago or something. So yeah, I think a lot of people are trying it out now, and yeah, it's really cute. It has kind of like old like Pokemon style graphics, and um yeah, I'm liking it.
I
So
like that one of the searches was a romanceable character.
oh yeah, I mean that's like one of the most important things for a farming sim. Um there's one girl with purple hair, her name's Juniper, and I love her so much. She's like a witch or something, and so she's my current idea for a marriage candidate, but we'll have to see. I don't really know everyone yet, so.
By look-wise, I'm leaning towards Valen and Island.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, yeah, there's so many like different like types of characters you can romance, but there's one I've been seeing everyone on TikTok so upset that they can't romance.
Oh no.
I don't remember what his name is, but he's like the blacksmith.
Oh.
And everyone on TikTok, I have been seeing like they've been begging the devs to be like, please make him like a marriage candidate. Like, we want him so bad.
That's
But
so funny.
yeah, so yeah, that's what I've been doing instead. But I did finish watching We Are, and I kind of had to force myself to get through it
Oh
because
no.
it's just okay. There's literally absolutely nothing wrong with the show. I just wish it had a plot. Like, there's just I'm sure if you like shows that are just fluffy and slice of life and like nothing happens except like 8 people start dating each other, like you probably like it. It's like completely fine, but I just like I really like shows that have plot. And I do prefer less characters. Like the show has 4 couples that they follow, and
That is
I
a lot.
yeah, I'm like a 1 or 2 max type person. Like the thing I love about OnlyFriends is that it is an ensemble, but they do it so well. Well, like all the characters have their own issues and problems and like character development and stuff. So like I'm okay with it because I think it's done super super well. But with like this show, there was just like one couple I really liked, and then the rest of them, I like the like Pond and Pooin. Like I liked their couple, but the rest of them I just like didn't really care that much about. So
That's
yeah,
I made it through episode 11 of 16 because that's the thing, like the show is so long.
yeah, it is so
Um,
long, and I was like, oh, it's so long because they're gonna spend like I don't know more time getting to know the characters, but I feel like we never really, I don't know. I just didn't connect with the show personally. Was my issue.
yeah. I caught up while it was airing, and that was where I stopped at episode 11 and haven't been able to bring myself to watch it again. But I
Yeah,
will say the most I see people talking about is they love Ow and Boom.
Oh, that's true. Actually, that is okay, yes. Now that you mention it, I loved them as a couple too. But the problem with them is that they get so little like screen time.
Oh.
Where yeah, and so yeah, I was like I really wish their characters were being focused on cuz like I don't even know if this counts as a spoiler, but I guess like minor spoiler. The so like in the beginning of the show, like they're like flirting with each other and whatever. And then just like another episode later, they're just already they're just like, "Oh yeah, we've been dating." And I'm like, "Okay, I would have loved to see that like development, but you know,
Yeah.
thanks for just like skipping ahead and yeah, so I loved them. I would love to see them in like another show paired together. So,
Yeah, I know people are really hoping that they finally get like a lead, like where they're not just like a
yeah.
ensemble, but they get like a show focusing on them. Which I was thinking about it. I'm like, I feel like they've been like a pairing for a while now, and it's kind of weird to me that they haven't been like the main focus of a show.
I agree. I don't know why either because
No.
I like them together a lot. Like they, especially in this show with so many characters, they're definitely like a standout.
I really like them too. They were in. I think they were both in on. Yeah, they were both in on Shantae. Um, and then they're in. So I'm also. I didn't talk about it, but I'm also watching Hidden Agenda right now, and they're in that. Um, and I mean they've been in a few other shows. So they were both in
Yeah.
Vice Versa. I don't know if they were together in that,
Oh,
but
I have seen Vice Versa, but I don't think I knew who they were then, so I don't remember.
yeah. So maybe
Yeah.
maybe we'll get them together
Yeah.
as a lead. I think they would do well. I think they're popular enough that it would be worth it for GMMTV to do that.
Yeah, I agree. I fully support. And then I watched like one more show of or episode of Love Sea. I'm so behind on that one. I think I've watched like episode 7, so
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean you're not super behind because there's only 10 episodes.
Yeah, that's
So
I'm really not like yeah, not that
yeah,
far. So
I have so the last episode aired today, and I haven't been able to bring myself to watch it.
yeah,
Um, I don't want it to end because I love Fort Pete so much.
I know. Yeah, I hope we see him again soon.
Yeah, so they will be making a cameo in Boy Next World, which is the Boss Noel show.
Yeah. Oh man, when I did watch the episode where Boss and Noel made their like cameo, and I was like, ah, there
It's
they are.
it's so meta.
It is.
'Cause their cameo is them coming in as actors playing the characters in the Boy Next World,
Yeah.
which Pete's character wrote the book of.
Yeah.
So I'm not ready to not have behind the scenes content of Fort Pete because like really every time like Pete like acknowledges Fort and Fort just has a complete meltdown just brings me so much joy.
Yeah, the behind the scenes are like the best part of the
It
show
really
airing.
it really is. There was one that came out from last week's episode. I think it was them watching the episode and reacting to it. So it was those two and the two girls.
Hmm.
And for whatever reason, like Fort like kisses Pete twice as he does, right? And then Pete kisses Fort's hand, and while he was talking, and Fort switched his voice to like some high pitched baby girl voice, freaking out just because he got kissed on the hand, and like immediately like kisses his hand too. And I'm like, dude is
You
so
guys.
down bad. Like I don't know if this is fan service or what, because he's so smooth with it that I'm like, I just.
Just PDA at this point.
Yeah, it's so cute. I'm obsessed.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'll catch up, finish that one, and get started on For a Minute and every other show I've said I will ever watch.
Yeah, I we also need you to finish the My Stand-In book.
I have been reading that like every night. It's longer than expected, honestly. I don't know like how many chapters it is total, but I feel like I'm like 50 chapters in or something, and I'm like, okay, I'm like halfway through maybe.
Yeah, I don't remember how long it is either, but yeah, it's really long. Like the chapters I don't think are like super long most of the time, but
Mm-mm.
it's still a lot. Do you like it still?
Yeah, I do like it. I mean, so far, I am. It's pretty much the same as the show where I am
Mm-hmm.
at this point, but I think that's about to change. Um, yeah, but I do like it.
Yeah. So that's fun. I can't wait to talk about it. I'm so excited to talk about it.
Yeah.
Whenever we get around to talking about it, I think I'm gonna end up watching it again and probably reading the book again just so I
Yeah.
have take notes while I watch it.
I do want to watch it again as well.
So.
But yeah, I guess so yeah, this week we're just continuing our deep dive analysis into Pit Babe. Um this is so we left off last time at the point where like Babe learns about Charlie being a special alpha as well and Charlie's plan to like protect him, I guess.
Hmm.
Um yeah, I guess that's like the main thing that happened the last episode. And then from here on, so the first half of the show is like very much like racing drama and stuff. And then the second half is like it's a little off the rails.
It's much more human trafficking focused.
Yeah.
Um, there's there's a lot more action.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, one of the other big things I think were exactly where we left off was that Kim, who is one of the racers for the other team, who got like cut by the team and was like snooping around. He got caught by Tony, and so now he's being threatened, and I think he's being held captive. Um,
A lot of people get
yeah,
held captive a lot of different times in the show.
yeah.
So I need to start a tracker or something.
Yeah, there was a one point where I was taking some notes and I'm like, did this person die here? And then I was like, oh, the only reason I found out he didn't was because he was in the pilot for the next season. And I was like,
Well,
oh, okay, let me go.
that doesn't mean anything actually.
No, but he was one of the people who ended up in jail. So
Yeah. But well, we'll get to the
yeah,
pilot for the next season later, but yeah, a lot of people this show loves killing off people and then just bringing them back.
yeah. So
So,
to
we'll be
get to
seeing a lot
that,
of that.
um, so the next episode in the show starts with Alan and Jeff are at Alan's house. And Jeff thinks he's gonna get fired from the garage because he came out that he's also one of Tony's kids, right?
Mhm.
Um, but Alan's like, no. I mean, at this point, I think Alan is collecting Tony's kids. Um,
Yeah, I mean, he's got more than you would I don't know if just like everyone in this universe is like Tony's kids or if they're just like congregating to this one garage, but yeah.
yeah. So it's Way and Babe were known as Tony's kids. And then we have Jeff and Charlie, but nobody knew that right until like now.
Okay.
Um,
Did
so,
did Babe know that Way is one of Tony's kids?
yes,
He does?
yes.
Okay, okay.
Well,
I wasn't sure if he knew that. Because he doesn't know that Way's the, enigma or whatever, but
yeah, he didn't know about the Enigma thing because I don't know how close they actually were in the house or if it was they both like connected afterwards.
got you. Okay.
Um, and then I also don't know. So a lot of these alphas, if not all of them, all have powers, and so it's like the like figuring out whose powers, like who has what powers, has been a little confusing. So Charlie can steal powers from whoever he's around. Babe has
Mm-hmm.
like heightened senses, whether it's like reflexes or like hearing, smell, all of that. He has heightened senses. Jeff can see the future. Um, Wei has like mind control powers.
Does he?
Yes.
Okay.
Like I don't know exactly what like the details of that are, but that
Oh
is like
yeah.
that is because that's where issues come up, right?
Because I wasn't
So
sure if that was like an enigma thing or if that was like his alpha power, you know.
Yeah, so I don't know either, but that is his power is like the influence thing.
Okay, yeah, that makes
Um
sense. I will admit at this point in the show, I got like pretty lost. So so I'm just gonna be saying like dumb things that probably don't make sense, but yeah.
that's fine. I think I have a pretty good handle on most of what happened.
Wonderful.
Um so but yeah, so Alan is like, no, we're not getting rid of you just because you're one of Tony's kids. Like we get it. Like things are a lot more complicated, right?
Yeah.
Because like for whatever reason, Charlie and Jeff both are going like back and forth to the house. I haven't quite figured out why.
Yeah,
Um
I would think you just like leave and never come back.
right? Like that's what I would do, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Um so then Wei and Pete are again at the club because they keep meeting at the club, right?
Yeah.
Wei is now in his villain era.
Yeah.
Like he's literally like, I'm not gonna be a good person anymore. And I'm like, Wei, what are you doing? Um
Wei gets so salty. Like
he does.
he's mad that Babe is dating someone else, but he like refused to even try to date Babe. Like it doesn't make it make sense, you know?
Yeah, so I haven't read any more of the novel. I'm gonna be totally honest. So I don't know a whole lot. But I will say in the novel this makes a little more sense because Wei and Babe actually hook up a lot when Babe's not dating anybody.
Okay. Yeah, that makes more sense than
Right?
because in the show they make it a point where like they've never hooked up before.
Yeah, like they're strictly friends. That is all that Babe wants out of any of this. And and that's where like in the book, Wei is like, "Nah, you'll come back to me whenever you get bored of Charlie. I'm not worried about it." Right?
Yeah.
And like the problems start to come in where it's like clear that Charlie's not going anywhere, and then Way's like, wait a second, we have an actual problem now. Um,
Yeah, but in the show he's just like
yeah,
he refuses to make a move on Babe and then gets upset when Babe starts dating someone. And it's like, I felt like you maybe made a move, like,
right. Like
you know.
being the best friend on the side doesn't get you anywhere. Like if you're wanting more.
Yeah. So, yeah.
um,
So he's throwing a fit about that.
yeah. He's been drinking a lot too.
Yeah.
Um, so and I will say I feel like the second half of the show bounces around a lot more than the first half did.
Yeah.
We're constantly cutting back and forth to like people meeting secretly and doing stuff. Um, because after this, like that's all that happened in that scene with like Wei and Pete is Wei's like, I'm not gonna be a good person anymore, and Pete's just kind of like, uh-huh. And we still at this point don't know like a whole lot about Pete. Like
Yeah.
he's clearly got some kind of investment in like wanting to take down Tony, and
Mhm.
he's like a business dude, and that is like the extent of what we know.
Yeah, we pretty much like for right now they've just told us that they're like business competitors. So it
Yeah,
just like maybe seems like because they're competing businesses, he wants, that's like
yeah,
the reason why like that's all like the like ex-hunter people know about him is they're just like, oh, he's investing in us because he's competition with Tony's company. So
yeah. But there's definitely a lot more to him than that.
yeah,
Pete's
especially
actually
when
I
he's
think one of my favorite characters.
yeah, I would agree. Especially that scene where he's just out there in the woods shooting archery and then Kenta's like, we found him. It's like, what?
Yeah. So
So that was their attempt at
Kenta
foreshadowing.
Kenta is another one where I don't know if he's an alpha, and if he is, what kind of powers he has, because he's really just kind of like there as a right hand to Tony.
Yeah. I wonder if he was kind of like Charlie where like he didn't show a power and then maybe he just never did and so now his way to seeming like useful is to become like Tony's right-hand man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Well,
not sure
we'll
about
see how
him.
that plays out.
Yeah.
Um, so okay, so then Charlie and Jeff meet up again. Um, and they have this talk because Jeff keeps having these visions of like a car accident and involving Babe's car, and they're like, should we tell Babe? Should we not tell Babe? Like, what are we gonna do? Because at this point, they've never been able to change any of Jeff's visions. So so they're
Yeah.
like, whatever happens is going to happen, but Jeff doesn't know who is in the car. Like, he doesn't know what's happening with the car accident. He just knows it happens with Jeff's like race car. or excuse
Yeah,
me, with Babe's race car.
and it's a
Um,
different accident than the one that previously happened where Babe was in his
yes,
car and it blew up.
yes. And then Charlie says not to say anything for now. And it's weird because they're like neither of them are sure if they've been able to change the outcome yet, but they've literally also said like in the same like thing is that Jeff like his visions never change. So
Yeah, I don't know if they're probably just holding out hope that like, oh, hopefully this time will be different.
yeah. And then we're back to Pete. And so Pete's company and Tony's company are in some bidding war for some development projects. So again, the businessy side of stuff. And and Tony's company has just like beat them out on a bid for like some development project with like an insane amount of money. And Pete's like, where did Tony get that money from? Because he shouldn't have that money. Um
I feel like he should know where Tony gets that money from.
yeah. I think he's starting to piece some stuff together, but I also think he should have had that answer. Um
Yeah.
and then we have so Kim at this point got kicked off his race team and Babe and Charlie go to look for him to talk to him about something. I don't know if it was like insider talk or whatever. But Babe and Charlie they go to this hotel room where they know that Kim is staying. Um
How they know
and
that? Good question.
uh I have no idea.
Yeah.
They say something like they got like somebody told them, but
Okay.
I don't know who would have told them. Like I guess somebody from Red Racing because I think there's like just normal people on like both teams.
Oh.
Um and like Kim has nobody's seen Kim at Red Racing in a few days. So like, again, I don't know why Babe and Charlie are the ones going to check on him. Um
Yeah, because the Kim like did help them previously with like I think he like went through the security cam footage for when someone like messed with Babe's car. But I don't
yeah.
even but they weren't like there. Like he was like with the ex-hunter like security guy, you know, so
Yeah. So I think they're wanting to like help him, I think at this point. So I think that's kind of where they're like in and they want to connect with him, see if he knows anything.
yeah.
Um, but so they get to this hotel room and the door's open because of course it is, right?
Mhm.
Um, so they do the smart thing of just walking straight in,
Yep.
and neither of them are armed with like anything. So they're walking around, looking around, and like the bathroom's got a ton of blood in it. And again, they're just walking around, and then one of the attackers comes out of like one of the rooms because there is some sort of like suite that the hotel that they're in, and so like it's one of the attackers comes out of the room and holds like Charlie at like gunpoint. Like Babe comes in and it's like struggling, and there's a big struggle, and then they get away, of course, and
Mhm.
and Tony's watching on the security cameras in like the hotel hallway as Babe and Charlie like run off. Um, so clearly something has happened to Kim.
Mhm.
Which is that he's being held captive right after Tony said that he's going to sell his organs. Um,
Yeah, not a good sign.
and then the next thing is Jeff has another vision where he sees Tony slashing someone at the Chen Family Foundation event, which is um basically like a fake auction to auction off kids instead, right?
Mhm.
Which thinking ahead as a spoiler, I don't think that scene ever happens. I don't know what comes of this.
Yeah.
I don't like there's I don't I'm very confused now. Um,
Well, you see though, this is looking into season 2.
oh yeah, okay. Maybe it's hasn't happened yet. Um
Yeah, I don't know.
we're trying.
Yeah, we're doing our best here to piece the plot points together.
Yeah. So then we jump back over to Pete, who has I guess followed Kenta up onto the rooftop of some random building, I don't know. And Kenta is like selling an alpha kid to some man on the top of this roof.
What happened at the auction?
Right? Like that's I guess outside of the auction to like bid on like the really like special like kids, I guess separately they just sell kids at random.
On
Again,
rooftops.
right? Like so on rooftops and so Pete's like off in like the shadows and he's like filming it, right? And
Yeah.
and of course like Kenta knows and like catches him and like holds him at knife point. And and it's really funny because Pete looks so unbothered by the fact that Kenta is holding him at knife point. And then Kenta literally just lets him go for like no reason whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
Which I will say, the reason comes up later that makes that make sense. Um
Yeah.
but it was one of those like watching this at this point and not knowing like what the deal between those two are. I was like, what is happening? Like Pete, like I know that you're unbothered, but like maybe you shouldn't be. Um
Yeah.
um and like that was like the end of that. Like Kenta sells a kid, Pete films it. I think Kenta probably like deletes the video and then lets Pete go. Like a lot of things would be solved a lot faster if Kenta would just kill people.
I know. Kenta's kind of really bad at his job.
He is.
Yeah. And Tony knows it too. Throughout the show, Tony's just like beaten Kenta for like not doing not being like ruthless enough.
Right? Like honestly, as a right-hand man, he's the worst.
I know, he should
Um
just have like Winner be his
Winner's
man instead.
so Winner is just dumb,
Winner
honestly.
is dumb. But he
Cuz
would
like
he would hurt people.
he would, but also he's held like Wei and Babe at gunpoint a few times and not done anything. So
Yeah.
I don't know that he's eager to pull the trigger on anybody either.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, so then for whatever reason, Jeff is sneaking around Tony's house. Jeff does this a lot, and I don't know why. Like
I
he's
I
constantly sneaking around.
I didn't understand either. I'm like, what? Like, at this point, what does he need at Tony's house? Like, I assume this has to do with the slashing vision, but like, what could he possibly be like looking for or something?
Yeah, I honestly have no idea. So,
Yeah,
but while he's doing that, he has another vision of Babe cradling somebody who got shot. Um, this scene does happen. Um,
yeah.
and then after the vision, he sees Tony having a conversation with somebody about plotting against Babe, but that person doesn't want to hurt Babe. That person
Mhm.
is Wei.
Yeah.
Just it's Wei. Wei
Mm.
in his villain era has gone back to Tony. Um,
Oh, way.
right? And then Jeff gets caught by Kenta because of course he does.
So was
Um
Wei working for Tony this whole time, or does he go back to Tony now?
he goes back to Tony
And why?
because he wants Babe.
But he could just do that regardless without Tony, you know?
Not really.
Uh,
Because so at one point he does use his power, like it's coming up pretty quick, but he uses his power on Babe, but it doesn't hold for very long.
okay.
There's a limit to his power, I think, on how long it can hold, so he would constantly have to like redo it. And I
Uh-huh.
imagine if like Babe woke up in the middle of the night without Wei, like
Yeah.
and I think Wei would rather have a more genuine relationship with Babe
Mhm.
and not a fake one.
Yeah. I don't know. This whole part where it just whatever. I'll let it go. It doesn't make sense to me, but okay.
I think Wei is just really hurt that at this point Babe has never shown an interest in him, and um I think this is his way of making that happen regardless. But also there is a point where Wei is talking to Babe and he's like, "This is the way that nobody gets hurt." And I'm like,
Except you, babe, who has to be forcibly impregnated, I guess. Like
right,
what?
right, because that's like the thing. Like, okay, Wei and Babe get together and then they pop out babies for Tony to sell. Like, I'm sorry. Like, what do you mean nobody gets hurt? Um,
Yeah, like you
there's
think that like you and babe are gonna live like happily ever after then, you know?
right. No, Babe is gonna constantly be pregnant as soon as he can be pregnant again. And he's not gonna enjoy any of this. And it's gonna be a lot of trauma, and then also the human trafficking aspect of that. Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah,
Um,
your babies are just like, are you okay with them just like being auctioned off, I guess?
right? Way's just not thinking. But
Not at all.
yeah, so Jeff gets caught by Kenta. because of course he
Of course.
does.
Ken
Um,
just that's the one thing he does. He just like catches people like snooping.
but he lets so many of them go.
I know.
So, and then we have another ad with Babe and Charlie in the bathroom and some DD cream. Um,
Ooh.
that did nothing. The ads in this have always cracked me up because they're so out of place.
I know, right? We go from like serious meeting, like sneaking around, spying, getting caught, DD cream ad, and then we go on to like, okay, X Hunter team meeting. We need to find where Kim is.
So, and
Kim's
that's
been kidnapped. He might have his organs stolen, but buy some DD cream.
right. It's so funny.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so the X Hunter team, they're all meeting in the garage, I think. And they're like, okay, maybe we should go find Kim. I love that they're like, we respect Kim. We want to find him. Also, he probably has some information, so we should, we'll help him.
Yeah.
Um, they also realize they need to find evidence of Tony selling kids so they can like report all this and like send it to the cops and do whatever they need to put an end to all this. Because this is honestly, it's the real way of putting an end to this, not Way's plan of let's just keep popping babies out for dad.
Yeah,
Um,
right. Yeah, I don't. Okay, yeah. Anyway, I
wait,
digress.
wait. I see Way's logic. I just also see the flaws.
I
Because
only see flaws.
Way is only thinking, how do I protect Babe? And he's like, Tony's not gonna stop ever. Period. That is how that is gonna go. Like I see where he's going with that, and this also helps me end up with Babe in the end, right? Like that is the two paths of logic that would lead to this. Because it's if we just stop Tony, Way doesn't end up with Babe.
Yeah, it's just like purely selfish at that point.
It is. He's in his villain era. It's fine.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, which I love Super Nuts so much. So
I do too. That's the problem is that I love him like as an actor so much that it makes me like Wei, but I shouldn't like Wei because Wei like sucks. But I see him
right,
on screen and I'm like, oh my god, super nut.
right. I'm like, Babe, why don't you go with Super Nut? Like it's fine. Like it's Way.
Yeah, he's so
Especially
beautiful.
right. I just thoughts, lots of thoughts. Um,
Yeah.
so and then in on this, Babe asks for Way to be like a key part of this plan, which I'm like screaming at the screen because of course Babe doesn't know that Way has entered his villain era. Um,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and then after this meeting, Babe and Way are like standing off in the hallway somewhere, and Babe's apologizing to Way for standing him up at the restaurant because Way is still sulking about it. Um,
Yeah. I would be too, honestly.
I mean, I would too. Like, oh, you got back together with your boyfriend and you stood me up on dinner and didn't tell me until after the restaurant closed? Like, I sat there,
Uh,
oh, I would be so mad.
you could like send me a text or something.
Right? Like, you could have sent it like when you guys reconciled, not after you had sex for like 3 hours.
They literally had sex. They drove out somewhere in the car in the middle of the night, had sex there, and then finally he contacted Wei. I'm like, okay. Could have done it like before the drive over or something.
For real. Like, I.
Also, I just like I love how they're just like we just can't have sex in our house. We have to like drive somewhere in the car just to do that. Like, okay.
It's it's more exciting that way. I don't know.
I guess so. I mean, they like the cars, so.
So, but Babe and Way reconcile, I guess. Um,
Mhm.
Way is still in his villain era, but Way agrees to forgive Babe if he takes him out to dinner. So, and then somewhere in all this, Alan realizes he hasn't seen Jeff in a while, and like that's probably a problem.
Yeah.
And this is where things get really confusing for me because suddenly North and Sonic are doing a stakeout,
Yeah.
but I
They're just
don't.
involved.
Right. So, well, they were part of the X team or the Hunter X Hunter team meeting. So
Mhm.
they were part of that. And like they're like looped into all of this. Um it's never really clarified the show if they're alphas or whatever. I think in the book North is an Omega. Um and then Sonic I have no idea. Um
Yeah.
but they're doing a stakeout. And initially, I didn't know what they were doing a stakeout for, but they were stakeout where they think Kim is. And it's just this random build. I don't know what this building is, because this building pops up a couple times. Um,
Yeah. It's
Like,
just some property Tony owns, I guess.
yeah, so I don't know if this is like where his office and the auctions and stuff happen too, or if that's a different building. I haven't quite figured all of that out.
Yeah.
Um, but Winter goes into the building. And then North and Sonic were supposed to wait on Alan, but North gets impatient as plots happen to make people do,
Mhm.
and he wants to go inside. So that's what they do. They go inside to go follow Winter, which is a terrible idea.
Yeah, like, he's in the building.
Yeah.
It's not the best way to, like, avoid someone while you're sneaking around.
Right. So well they want to go follow him is what they want to do because they think he'll lead them to Kim.
Yeah.
Um so and then in the meantime, Way Babe and Charlie go have a meeting with rich people. Uh,
Yep.
and I don't know how this one happened either. Like I missed something here because it's like rich people that already have the alpha kids that they bought from Tony, right? Like
Mhm.
Way their cover is that Way's there to make a deal about cars, like buying cars from like this one person. And I guess Babe and Charlie are just there because they're I don't know if it's the cars for them or what. But like Way is there to schmooze.
Mhm.
Um and while he's there, Babe and Charlie like sneak off to go find other kids. Um and so some of the kids are being sold here. So I'm wondering if this is the same building with the rooftop that Kenta was in before. Um, and so Babe and Charlie are
Yeah.
looking for the kids, and they find one of the kids, and they're trying to get this kid to agree to be proof that kids are being sold and not adopted. Because like Tony's whole thing is that he's basically running an adoption agency, right? Is he's getting all these kids adopted, and not
Mhm.
that he's selling them for millions. Um,
But he's selling art instead.
yeah. But yeah, so like I can't imagine them like going up to this kid who's like probably like 10, 13, somewhere around there, and going, "Hey, do you want to give us a statement against the person who owns you?"
Yeah, right?
Like, come on now. Like you're gonna have to pull the kid out of the situation. That's the only way you're really gonna get an answer like that. Um. But then after that, Babe and Charlie get caught as they're trying to like sneak out, because of course nobody
Mhm.
can. Like, I will say the most realistic part of this is that nobody ever sneaks out of anywhere. They always get caught.
That's so true, honestly.
Like, that's so real. So,
Yeah.
but they get caught and they're trying to fight their way out, and Way comes and saves them. So then they all get out. So, in the meantime, North and Sonic have gone inside to go follow Winter. Um, and he's with a lot of guards and some kids. So they keep following him around.
The kids are just spread out all over.
So yeah, it's weird because they're in like a school, I guess. So like North and Sonic are hiding in like the library, but they can see like across the hallway through the windows to where like Winter is with the kids in like this classroom looking thing.
Yeah.
And but then he goes in. I think he just goes in to get the keys to something, and then he keeps going. And so Winter takes them straight to where Kim is being held captive. Like Winter goes into the room, does whatever, and then he walks away. Um, and they wait no time for him to walk away. I swear.
I know. I when I was watching this too, I was like, "Oh my god, you guys, like,
Like
give it,
give
like, a
it
couple minutes or something."
right. Like maybe you stick your head out the doorway to make sure he's actually left.
Yes.
Um, because I could have easily seen the plot going where he's just around the corner waiting for them to come out, and then he ambushes them. Um,
Yeah, or, like, freaking Kenta's there, like, waiting for them, you know?
right, like, Kenta absolutely scarier than Winter, to be honest, but, like,
Yeah. I agree.
Kenta can fight.
Yeah.
But, like, okay. So, they go and they break into the room, and they're so loud about it too, that's what I'm saying, like, there's no way Winter was far enough away to not hear that
Yeah.
I have a bone to pick there. Um, and then, they get in, and they get Kim, and they, like, wake him up, I guess, and they, like, start to, like, drag him out, and they're almost completely out of this building before they get caught by some guards, right? Like, they make it multiple floors down
Mhm.
without getting caught. Um, and then so they're having to deal with the guards, and of course Winter immediately shows up, and of course he has a gun, because he always has a gun. Um, and so they're, like, dealing with that, and then Alan shows up with like the perfect timing, nearly runs over Winter and the guard that's out there, and then they all hop in his car and they take off and leave. So now they have Kim.
They have Kim here?
Yeah. So well,
Oh,
that's
okay.
that's
In my
that's how.
memory, I thought they like left him or something.
No. They drag him into the car.
Okay, great.
Yeah. So and then Babe realizes that one of the kids that they were around snuck a paper with like the name Mr. Dong on it into Babe's pocket before he left, and I think that's like their key on like who's buying kids. Because I honestly don't remember who Mr. Dong is after this. I think he's just one of the buyers.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. And then we're back with Alan's talking to Charlie. This was really cute. This honestly doesn't. The fact that there's like a Alan Jeff romance happening on the side of all this stuff is kind of insane to me.
I know, it's like, okay, you guys have like other things to worry about, but keep flirting.
Right? So Alan goes and he's talking to Charlie because he's like, how do I approach Jeff? Like, what am I doing wrong? Like, what is happening?
Mhm.
Because he's very sulky because like Jeff will just ignore him all day, right? And Charlie's like, that's just Jeff. Um, but also Jeff's actually being held captive right now at
Yeah,
Tony's,
they
right?
still
So
haven't found Jeff. Not even have they not found him, but they just
they
like aren't worried about him that
right,
much.
which I guess is the flaw of being the loner, because
Yeah.
it takes a while for people to like notice.
Yeah.
Um,
You would think like Charlie would at least notice by now, but
but Charlie's also used to not hearing from Jeff,
yeah.
right? So like I kind of get it, but also it's kind of funny in like the worst way.
But it's also like Jeff is like working as a mechanic at the garage. And so if he hasn't like I don't know how long it's been, I guess, in the timeline, but if someone doesn't
Yeah.
show up to work for like one day and they like don't say anything, you can't contact them. Like that's enough. I feel like that's enough to be concerned.
I would hope, but
Yeah.
I feel
But
like
maybe
they're a little
he's
more
like
fluid with the garage.
yeah, he's maybe just like part-time or something, so
Yeah, because that Jeff is still in school too, I think.
yeah, he is.
So who knows?
Yeah. I can excuse it.
Yeah, it's still kind of funny though, because like Pete's like, how do I talk to this kid that's ignoring me? And Charlie's like, you just got to get used to him ignoring you. And Jeff's literally like, I'm being held captive. Help me.
Yeah, yeah, right. Oh.
um, and then Pete somehow in all of this has figured out where the kids are being sold. Um, and so that's where he's at. But Babe is also there. Um, and the Babe's there on like a solo mission because of that Mr. Dong.
Mhm.
So that's where he's trying to uh like figure out what's going on there, and so that he's trying to get information there. And so Babe runs into Pete in the stairwell and literally punches him
Oh my god.
because he's like, "Why are you betraying us?" And Pete's like, "No, I'm not. I'm also like here to like figure everything out and like stop Tony." And he's like, "By the way, I'm one of Tony's kids and I'm an enigma." Um and it's
Yeah.
like, "Oh my god." So Pete's power is mind reading.
Mhm.
So that's the next one of powers. I've been trying to like keep up with who has what powers, but I think at this point that's all the powers we learned about.
I think yeah, I can't think of anyone else.
No. So, but yeah, like this was a big like, oh my god, like um Pete's the enigma.
Yeah.
So Pete and Babe split back up, and then Babe runs into Way, which
Oh
is a
no.
problem, right? Um Somehow Jeff manages to sneak out of being held captive because he's not being guarded very well. Um Tony has the worst staff.
I
Like
know. Yeah, all of them are just like
like
so inefficient.
Penta has a soft spot for too many people. Um like uh Winter is just useless. The guards all suck at their job. They're like stormtroopers, I swear.
They
Um
are.
like Tony needs a better crew. Um
Yeah.
right? So Jeff sneaks out and he immediately calls Charlie because somewhere in all this he has figured out that Way is the enigma that Tony
Oh
plans to use with
yeah.
Babe,
'Cause he
right?
he heard Wei talking to Tony about how he doesn't
Yeah.
like yeah,
Yeah, so it goes back to that. Um, so Jeff's like, Charlie.
yeah.
Um, and then Babe at the same, like, these scenes flip flop so much because Babe's then talking to Way again, and he's like, "I know Pete's the enigma, whatever." And Charlie calls like at that exact moment and and Babe's like, "I figured it out." And Charlie's like, "Way's the actual enigma to worry about." And Charlie just like, and Babe just like looks at Way like, "Oh shit."
Yeah.
Uh,
Uh-oh.
so and then Way takes Babe back to his place using his mind control powers,
God,
and
I wish Babe didn't go alone.
right, like.
Don't go alone to a place that's trying to kidnap you.
Right? Like, come
Like,
on.
yeah.
Which I will say, the betrayal from Way was definitely out of left field for him. Like
Yeah.
we saw it happening, in the extra scenes, but like Babe had no idea.
Yeah.
Like at this point, Babe and Way were best friends, and that was as far as it needed to go, and not this whole villain arc.
Yeah. And like Wei was helping them like with the plan
Right.
previously to like distract the rich people and stuff.
Yeah. So Way is actually in his Snape era.
Yeah, wait, that's so true. This
I
is
was just like,
very Snape.
because like he is helping both sides, and I never know like who's actually getting the full help in the end.
Right. And he's doing it all because the person he's in love with loves someone else or something, you know.
Right, like yeah, no, he's in his Snape era. He's not in his villain era. He's in his Snape era. Um,
So perfect.
and then so he takes Babe back, and he's like, "This is the best situation for everyone because he gets to be a family with Way, and
Uh,
and like this is everybody will be safe this way, and this whole thing that we've already talked about, right?" And so then Charlie shows up to rescue Babe, but Way just uses his powers to make Charlie go to sleep, which I think is kind of hilarious.
It is.
But
He's like doesn't make him like leave or walk out the door and lock the door or
no,
anything. It's just
it's
like
just sleep.
take a nap.
Like I don't have time to deal with you. But in that time, the Way's like powers like wear off of Babe. I don't know if it's because he put his focus on Charlie. I don't entirely know that, but like Babe snaps out of it. And then he actually manages to get Charlie to wake up too. So like Way's power not that strong.
Yeah.
And then my favorite is Babe goes on a betrayal rant. Like he just goes off on Way.
Yeah.
And he's just yelling like he's just yelling at him. It's so funny to me. Like it's like Pavel does a great job, right, of acting and getting his emotions out there. This is not against Pavel at all. I think he is killing it because there's some strong emotions coming out of Babe like this entire show, and Pavel I think nails it. But it just the fact that it's like instead of like we need to get the fuck out of here or like I don't know. I think I'd have just punched Way.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean,
I'd
he punched Pete earlier for less. So
right like you punch Way, maybe knock him out cold, and then either
yeah.
tie him up yourself or dip out. One of the two. But no,
Yeah.
he just yells at him.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, this part like sucks. Like this is like so fucked up from Way. And so I don't
It
know if
is.
Babe thinks that like maybe like Way like he cuz him and Way are so close. Like maybe
Right?
he thinks like, "Oh, if I just like talk to like if I just like address him like as like our relationship and as like my best friend, he'll feel guilty about like what he tried to do and he like won't try to do it again, I guess."
Yeah, I mean, like I fully get Babe's response of just yelling in pure anger, but
Yeah.
I just think it's funny that he didn't just like clock him and
I
like
I think it is.
repeatedly.
Yeah, that's yeah, I good on him for I guess. Well, honestly, if he did it too, I would support.
Yeah, I'd be all over it.
Yeah.
So Babe again is, or excuse me, Way again is like, this is the best way that I see to like fix everything, basically, and then their friendship is over.
Yeah.
Like
It fixes nothing. It's just like
no.
purely selfish.
So then Way has to go to Tony and be like, I failed because everyone around Tony fails at everything.
Yeah.
So Tony has a fit, and then Way goes, "Oh, by the way, Charlie has Babe's ability."
Yeah.
Um, so
So it's like at this point, then, is Babe even, like, an asset?
No. And so and
Yeah.
that was Charlie's plan, right? Is I'll take Babe's powers. Babe is basically useless to Tony. Tony will leave him
Mhm.
alone.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, so, okay, but then, like, but Wade knows this. Or does he is this when Wade finds out that Charlie has Babe's ability? Or did he know that previously?
I think it was during this
Okay.
encounter because Charlie is like I think Charlie did something where it was like obvious
Oh,
that like the
yeah.
reflex was there.
Yeah, yeah,
Um
yeah.
so he didn't know until then, and like he doesn't know that that was like Charlie's plan. Um
Yeah.
but like
Because I
he
was gonna
doesn't
say, like, if he knew this, then, why was he still following through with Tony's plan? Because it doesn't make sense anymore, but yeah.
no, he didn't know.
Okay.
Um and then we get another ad break with Jeff and some toothpaste.
Oh, perfect.
And then Alan shows up at Jeff's apartment. And then they catch each other up on everything that's been happening. And Jeff is like, "We don't have to worry about Kim. The future I saw, he's alive." And I'm like, "Oh, at least somebody gets a positive outcome."
Yeah, that's, like, the first, up optimistic vision that Jeff has.
Yeah. So there's some relationship building that's happening there. Alan actually gives Jeff like one of his like old phones, right? Because Jeff has his got confiscated when he got like held hostage. Um
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
so Alan also secretly did that because then he can use that for GPS to keep a tab on Jeff.
Yeah. Yeah, these people all need to turn on, like, Find My Friends or something.
Right? And then Jeff has another vision of the future and he talks to Charlie about it. And he's like, no matter what we do, everybody's gonna die.
Cool, love
Right.
that.
Yeah, that's great. And so that's where Charlie's like, okay, I have a plan. I'm gonna die and nobody else will.
Okay, Charlie, whatever you say.
I'm like, I don't I don't know how that's gonna work, but yeah, sure.
Yeah, I'll hear you out.
And then we have Jeff going back to Tony, you know, the place he
Yeah,
just escaped from.
like,
Um
God.
and he's like, "Hey Tony, I have a plan that's going to get Charlie back in the house." Right? And so that's where Tony's like, "Oh, okay. Sure." And lets
Eh,
Jeff walk out.
yeah, and he's not like, "Oh, you're not tied up anymore?"
Right? Like
My God, these people just need to stop going to Tony's goddamn house.
right? So we don't understand this plan at this point. Um so it just Jeff has a plan, which is really Charlie's plan. Um which means Charlie's not actually going back to Tony's house. But
Yeah.
which also I'm confused why Tony is so like hellbent on getting Charlie back because at this point, like I don't think Tony well no, he would know at this point because
Ye
Charlie has Babe's powers. He knows Charlie has Babe's powers. Okay.
yeah, so I think yeah, that's why he wants Charlie. Because the new plan, I
Yeah.
guess, is impregnate
Charlie.
Charlie.
Yeah, sure.
Obviously.
So then we're back at the X Hunter garage. There's a debate over who should race in Babe's place because apparently we still care about racing.
Yeah,
Um so Babe's still
you
healing.
guys! Come on.
And so Charlie's gonna race instead of Babe. And then Dean, who gets to race instead of Wayne. I don't know that we've really talked too much about Dean, but Dean has been like trying to get on like the roster for racing, but he's never been good enough.
Mhm.
So this is like his way of finally being able to be on the race because there's literally no other options. And
Yep.
since Wayne is now out of the friend group, now there's a spot for him. So then Babe and Charlie have some pre-race sex again. Um,
Gotta focus.
so and then Charlie comes in second in the race behind Winner. And then Babe's kind of upset by this, right? Because this is his record he's watching float away at this point. And so he goes, "I'm going to race in the next race, and nobody can talk me out of it. That's it."
Mhm.
And so the next race is Charlie Dean and Babe from X Hunter Racing, which is so wild to me because how many people from one team can you have on a race?
I wish I knew. That's
Because like I feel
I
like
feel like
two
in the
should be the
past
max.
yeah, and I mean, at least in the past episodes, it's been 2
Oh,
max. It's always been Babe and Wei.
Yeah,
And
and
then
that's
it was Wei and Charlie. So
yeah, and then like the last one was Charlie and Dean, and now Babe's just like I'm gonna do whatever I want, and so now we're gonna have three, I guess. Um,
yeah, I don't know.
so
Maybe it's like a less serious race or something.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
So this race is very intense with like the three from X Hunter and Winter are all fighting for like first. There's a lot of like back and forth and maneuvering and stuff like this until Charlie like intentionally crashes his car. Um,
Uh-huh.
and it rolls quite a few times, and he is unresponsive.
Yep.
And
And this
and
is like the accident in Jeff's vision.
yes. And so Babe is freaking out, of course, as anyone would be. Um, and and then the weird part, which this is because nobody knows what's going on with Charlie and Jeff on this, but Jeff is on the phone with Tony, and he's like, "I've done my part. Now it's Tony's turn." I don't know what Tony's part is. I don't.
Mm,
I don't know. I have no idea.
yeah. I guess yeah, I honestly couldn't tell you.
Yeah, I don't know because we never really make it to that point. Um,
Yeah.
and then so we're at the hospital next. Um, we're at the ER or the OR or whatever, and Babe notices he's getting his abilities back, which is like a big red flag for him, right? Where
Mhm.
he's getting a little dizzy and whatever. And then the doctors come out and they go, Charlie's dead. And so one of Pavel's best acting scenes, in my opinion, is Babe losing it over Charlie's death.
Yeah.
Like the pure like raw emotion of that, like that and him like he's like sobbing over like Charlie and he's like he's still warm and then
Oh,
like he's like melting down to the point he collapses.
that's so sad.
That was a rough scene to rewatch. That was
Yeah.
a it was one of those I remember watching this the first time when the show aired and I'm like okay, we're on episode like I don't know like 8 9 somewhere around there of a 13 episode show where the two male leads are Babe and Charlie and
Yeah, now
killed
Charlie's
off
dead.
you just killed off one of them and this is still a romance. So what?
Yeah.
um spoiler, Charlie's not dead.
Oh my god.
But I remember watching it and being like, wait, my first thought after I was like, oh my god, Charlie's dead was, do we get Way?
Yeah. But at this point, I'm just like Wei is just like unredeemable for me. So I was just like not sure. I was like, I don't know, like what are they gonna do here, you know? Like if they didn't make Wei so like horrible, like that could have been an option, but
Yeah, he's still not unredeemable to me. I just
yeah.
I have a soft spot for a red flag character.
I have a soft spot for Supernut.
That too. He posted some photos on Instagram and he was in the Louis Vuitton heels, the ones with the red
Oh
underneath.
yeah, I
And
saw
I was
that.
and I was like, are we filming the show? I was like, I didn't think we were filming that until next year.
Yeah, I mean,
I think he
hopefully.
was literally just wearing the shoes. And I'm like, that's so I love that.
Yeah, I gotta make use of them anyway.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, he walks in them better than I would. Um
Yeah.
I do not walk well in heels.
I've gotten pretty good at walking in heels. But like platforms and like not like stilettos, so props for him for that.
Yeah, I can do okay in platforms. Stilettos, there's no hope.
Yeah, I have a couple platforms that are like 6 inches.
Ooh.
And so they're really tall, but because they're like platforms, they're like pretty easy to walk in still.
Mhm.
But yeah.
So then Wei has to go to Tony, and he tells Tony that Charlie's dead. Um,
Okay. Yeah,
apparently,
keep going. I want to break down this plan after this, but yeah.
so yeah, so apparently Wei. So this is where I'm unclear because in this conversation with Tony, he's like, Wei talks about how he messed with the car in a way that should have only injured Tony, or excuse me, injured Charlie. But
Uh,
Wei didn't actually mess with the car. Oh, I have an idea. I think I know what he did. I think he influenced
is
Dean
Charlie's
to mess with the
brain?
car. I don't
Oh.
maybe because the car was messed with, but it
It was.
wasn't Wei. It was other people.
Yeah.
Um.
Yeah, I guess.
So then Tony does a very Tony thing that's kind of unhinged, and he goes to demand that Wei go find a kid with Babe's powers because he needs them for the auction for the next year. Um,
Okay. Like, why didn't you do that in the first place?
because he already had Babe.
But
Like,
he didn't. He's been doing all this shit for so long to get Babe. And he could have just been looking for another kid this whole time. Like, also, I thought Babe's powers were like one of a kind.
yeah, I'm gonna assume that that's been the thing of there is nobody else with the powers.
Yeah.
Um, so I don't know, but uh, Wei and Kenta were both tasked with finding other kids at separate points in the show, and none of them ever come up successful with anything that Tony's happy with. So,
It's for the best.
yeah, Tony's just kind of unhinged, and I think that doesn't help anything. Um,
Yeah.
so then we have a funeral for Charlie.
Mm-hmm.
And Babe collapses from crying because of course he does. Um, he spends a lot of time in the show crying actually.
Yeah.
And then Alan tells Jeff to stay at the house. And North and Sonic are also staying at the house. So like all of X Hunter is just living with Alan at this point.
Alan's got a
Um,
nice ass house.
he does. He has a very nice house, which
Yeah.
also doesn't make sense for how broke X Hunter apparently is.
That's where all their money's going.
Yeah. And then Jeff agrees to stay at the house with the condition that they let Kim stay too. So I guess Kim is also now part of X Hunter. Um
Jeff's connection with Kim.
yeah, I don't know what the deal between Jeff and Kim is.
Yeah, like why is he like riding or dying for Kim? I don't think they've had any interaction in the show
Yeah,
thus
that's never
far.
clarified. So
Yeah. Like, okay.
so then Alan and Jeff have another cute moment of their relationship building, and then Alan asks Jeff if he wants to be Alan's boy. Um and Jeff basically just doesn't give him an answer.
Is this by the pool?
Yes.
Yeah, I remember. They're cute, but I like hate. This is probably just like a Thai language thing, but I hate in all these shows like and like Love in the Air and stuff when they're like, "Oh, I'm like Alan's boy. I'm like Babe's boy." I don't know. It's just like cringe to me.
Yeah, I think it's to signify a power dynamic,
Yeah, it
right? Because it's
appears
Payu's
that way.
boy and Propai's boy, and it's a power dynamic of that is my property, basically, which does
Yeah.
give me a little bit of the ick.
I like put myself in that position and I was like, if a man said that about me, I would like punch him. You know?
Right? Like
Yeah.
I don't care who they are. I'm more than just your girl.
Yeah, like even like saying like, "Oh, this is like my girl." Like that's I feel like that's okay, but if they're like, "Oh, this is like uh, Alan's girl." I'm just like, okay, I have a name."
Yeah.
But
So
that's a small gripe. Just every time they do it, I don't know why. It just makes me uncomfy.
yeah, I'll say Alan doesn't use that more than like twice. Um,
Yeah. What he should just be like, "Oh, do you want to be my boyfriend?"
yeah.
Why do you like? Do you want to be like my boy? I'm like, ugh.
So I think Jeff actually used it first, where
Mhm.
I think it was around the time where Alan gave him the cell phone, where he was like, "Am I Alan's boy now?" And that's why I think where it got in Alan's head of, "Do you want to
Yeah.
be?" Um,
It's probably just like
so
more common. I don't know if it's like a Thai thing or just like a BL drama thing where it's just like normal. But for me, I always am just like,
yeah, it's
gross.
yeah. So, but yeah, really after this, they don't really bring it up anymore. So, which at least there's that.
Yeah.
And then after that, Alan goes to check on Babe after a few days, and Babe is a zombie. He's
Hmm.
literally like on the ground of like the garage of his house, like next to like the wheel of one of his cars, just watching the video of Charlie's accident on like a loop.
Why is he watching this? Like,
I don't. I think he's trying to study like what went wrong and like with the driving and all of that.
yeah,
I guess, and
that's so traumatic.
right, like Babe needs some therapy.
He
Um,
really does.
and then Babe says he thinks Tony had something to do with the accident, right? So like the car was tampered with in some way or something.
Mm-hmm.
And then Babe goes to wait at the club, the diner bar thing. And he just like walks up to him, pulls him up from his seat, and just wails on him.
Hell yeah.
Like the thing I expected to happen before Charlie died.
Yeah, maybe it was just like, I feel like at the moment it was more like shock than anything, and then now he's
Yeah.
angry. And maybe, do
Yeah.
you think oh yeah, he suspects that Wei did something to cause the accident, you know? Obviously, like,
Yes.
Wei seems like Charlie's number one enemy, so it makes the most sense.
Yeah. So that's where after Babe stops punching Wei, because I think they pulled them off of each other.
Mm-hmm.
Wei claims he doesn't know anything and that he didn't have anything to do with Charlie's accident, which
Which he
again,
did, or he thinks he did.
right? Which I'm confused by because he was on the phone with Tony and he went, I what I did to the car should have only um like caused like an injury and not like murder.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Which again, everything I know that happened in that car was not done by Wei, so I still don't understand what happened. Um
Yeah, me neither.
and then we're back at the garage and Dean is just an insensitive asshole.
Oh god.
And he's like, "So what's the plan for the next race?" And Alan's like, I don't think we're gonna race again this season, dude." Um, and that makes Dean mad. Dean's literally like, just because Charlie died doesn't mean we have to give up on the season." And everybody's like, "Are you fucking kidding me?"
Dina's like one goal this whole show and is just to race. And
For
literally that's it.
That's it. That's all he cares about is being able to race. And it doesn't
Yeah.
matter that other people, like his teammate, even though they weren't close, like his teammate died, right?
Mhm.
Like it makes sense that the whole team would be like, I don't really want to race anymore.
Yeah.
So then later that night, Dean's at the garage and he's on the phone with somebody and he says he did his part, which is where I think maybe Wei got Dean to do the work on the car and that's what it was.
Yeah. It's
That's
weird that they mentioned like two people doing it, but
yeah.
they didn't work yeah, they must have done, I don't know.
So that's the only thing I can think is that Wei got Dean to do it.
Yeah, I guess so. Cuz I guess Dean probably didn't have a connection to Tony before this.
No, and so to jump
Although
forward a little bit.
wasn't okay, hang on.
Yep.
The accident where Babe's car blew up because someone snuck in and messed with it. Was that Dean as well? Because that's what I assumed.
I don't remember. I don't.
So I don't think we ever like find out. All they look at the security footage and they're like, oh, this person knows exactly where the security cameras are. Maybe it's someone on. It has to be someone on like X Hunter team. So it either would have had to been Wei or Dean. I feel like it was probably Dean as well.
Yeah, it would make more sense to be Dean.
Yeah.
I kind of was it not Winner
Well,
from Red Racing?
Winner like said he didn't do it. I guess he could have been
Okay.
lying, but he had to have been helped by someone on X Hunter because of like the camera situation.
Yeah, which I think at that point would have been Dean.
Yeah, and so Winner says he was like, "Oh, I didn't do it. Like maybe it was someone on their team." So it could have been
Yeah.
Dean who like wanted Babe's the chance at like Babe's spot. You know, I feel like yeah, I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
know why or I don't know. I feel like back then maybe Dean wasn't working for Tony. Maybe he just did it like selfishly to get a spot in the team. And
Yeah.
then this
So
time maybe like Wei was his connection between Tony. Tony told Wei and then Wei told Dean, I guess. I don't know.
yeah. So that's where it's. I don't even like. It doesn't necessarily make sense for Wei to have done it either on this, like to enlist Dean, because so Dean's on the phone, and he says he did his part, and Babe is lurking. So he
Mhm.
hears that. He attacks Dean, and then he accuses him of causing Charlie's death, right?
Yeah.
And then for whatever reason, Babe turns his back on Dean, who then grabs a hammer at the like toolbox next to him and like clocks Babe in the head with it.
Oh my god.
Babe like drops.
And then
And
Babe
Dean,
dies too. Just
right?
kidding.
Show ends.
Yeah.
So, and then Dean goes on this rant about how he's unappreciated and he did mess with the brake fluid line of Charlie's car, but that wasn't what caused like the accident. Like we know that like they studied the car to figure out what caused the accident. It was actually like the oil pipe or something like that, like something with the gas line
Uh-huh.
that caused the car accident, not the brake fluid line um that the Dean did mess with, like he admitted to messing with. He's ranting to Babe who's on the ground with a head injury now. Um and
So maybe
so
it was the combination of both what Dean did and what Wade did separately.
but Wei didn't do the gas line either though.
Yeah. Ugh, yeah, I don't
So
know.
yeah, so I don't
Who did the gas line? I guess Charlie did.
it was Jeff.
Jeff, oh my, I can't keep up.
But Jeff did that, but Charlie knew, right?
No,
Like because
yeah,
all
yeah, that was
yeah.
their plan.
So
Yeah.
that comes up in a little bit.
Okay.
Um so but Dean goes to hit Babe again. And then Alan like shows up with the rest of the team and they stop Dean and they like tie him up and call the police and Dean says that Tony offered to give him everything that X Hunter didn't. So that was
Mhm.
why he messed with Charlie's car. So
Yeah.
and then they thought catching Dean would help them against Tony, but it doesn't help them with anything. So they're like, great.
Yeah.
And so but yeah, that was kind of a scary scene with the way like Dean like grabs the hammer and just clocks Babe in the head that like
Yeah.
that. Like it was a really intense scene.
I love
Um
surprise scenes like that.
yeah. It was one of
I
those I
don't
was
know why.
screaming at like Babe of like, why did you turn your back on him?
I know. I guess, yeah, he didn't realize Dean was
That
as
unhinged, right? Yeah.
unhinged. Yeah.
Um so and then we have Way and Pete at the diner bar thing again.
Mhm.
Drinking again.
Yeah.
And Way is now having a moral crisis over whether or not he's been making the right decisions. And then that's where he asked Pete why he left Tony because Pete is, of course, another one of Tony's kids. Um,
Mhm.
and Pete said he left Tony because he wanted a real loving family and he knew he wouldn't get that under Tony. But now he wants to stop Tony from harming the other orphan alphas. So now we
Yeah.
know what Pete's plan is. He wants to stop Tony, but also he just wanted family. Um,
Mhm.
Valid.
Yeah. Very Pete's like one of the like the normal people in this show.
Honestly, I'd love Pete so much.
Yeah,
Um,
I do too.
and then even though he's still not normal either, he's still weird.
Yeah, of course. He's doing archery in the
Yeah.
woods, you know?
Yeah. So then we're with Babe, Allen, and Jeff talking about how Dean admitted to messing with the brake line, but that still leaves the issue of who messed with the gas line. I was like, who could that be? Um,
Mhm.
and then surprise, surprise, we cut to Charlie asleep on a couch. With a man. We don't know who this man is at this point, but it's a man,
Yeah, older
right?
man.
Yep, older man watching over Charlie, and Jeff shows up, and it's one of those like Charlie doesn't know who he's with either. Like I think Jeff found this guy separately, and Jeff's like I don't really know exactly what his deal is, but he understands what's going on with Tony, and he's also somebody who wants to protect people from Tony. Um, and so we get a flashback of Jeff telling Tony that he's going to cause an accident so that Charlie can't race anymore. So at this point, Tony has gotten Way to mess with the car, he's gotten Dean to mess with the car, and he's gotten uh Jeff to mess with the car. How did he not expect this to go this awry? Where Charlie quote unquote dies. Um
Yeah, so that's my question is what was their original plan to begin with?
oh, you know what? Kenta was the one that told Dean to cut the brakes.
Oh. Well, then
Okay.
what did Wayne do?
I don't Wei didn't do anything. That's the thing. Wei did nothing. So I don't know why he was on the phone going, "Yeah, I messed with the car," but he didn't really.
Yeah, I don't know, maybe he lied, I guess. Maybe
I
Tony's just enlisted everyone he knew to
right.
mess with this car.
Like even
'Cause
even taking way out of this because I that might just be bad editing to be completely honest.
yeah.
Um but like taking that out, Tony knows that Dean like that multiple people have been told to mess with the car. Whether or not he knew it was Dean or if it was just he told Kenta to deal with it. Um or like Jeff was also going to deal with it unless there's I wonder if there's like some lost in translation part of this of like Jeff just saying Tony we need somebody to mess with the car, right? And then
Yeah.
but Kenta tells Dean to mess with the car, so Dean cut the brake line. And then Jeff waits for Dean to leave, and then he also goes and messes with the car, and that's where he messes with the oil line or the gas line. I saw translation. I saw both of them used. So I don't know which one it is.
Uh-huh.
Because those would be two different lines. I'm pretty sure. Um,
Nah, I wouldn't know.
I don't think the gas and oil mixes in a car.
Yeah.
So, and that's where you see, like, you go back to the race, and Charlie intentionally turns too hard, and it flips his car in a curve. Um, and then we also see in this flashback that the older man there, that's watching over Charlie now, has enlisted this doctor to help the lie and say Charlie is dead, and he's also gotten some experimental drug that is never explained in the show. Um,
Nope.
but it causes Charlie to like lose his senses and it enough to appear as if he's dead. But I'm not entirely sure how like nearly dead is enough to give Babe his ability back. It's explained a little bit better after this. I just didn't go back in the notes here because what
Yeah.
it's the medicine he's getting isn't actually what's causing him to be nearly dead. It's just causing him to lose his senses. And there's some trade off of as he loses his senses, it goes back to Babe.
Mhm.
But I think Babe would lose his senses again if Charlie stops taking this medication.
Oh boy.
So, because there's a point where Babe, like later on, Babe knows he has his senses back, but he doesn't have his reflex back. And I think that's that they're basically sharing a power.
Yeah. It is, oh my god. This is the biggest like Deus Ex Machina like you can do in the show where they're just like, "Oh, and here's conveniently a doctor with a superpowered drug that'll fix all your problems and this other man who will find out who he is who's you can stay with because he'll help you and you know whatever." I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
So convenient
It's
that all of this has just happened like out of nowhere with no foreshadowing.
yeah. I mean, there is foreshadowing that Charlie had a plan, but like
Yeah.
this medicine thing, this experimental drug, whatever, definitely not. I have a feeling this is going to be a big part of season 2 though.
Yeah, I hope so. Otherwise it would be so random, but yeah, that's what
Yeah.
I'm expecting as well.
So,
But so okay, just to be clear, so Charlie's plan was to fake his death to
yes.
give Babe back his power, but Tony doesn't know that Babe has his power back?
No.
Or what's like the point of him dying? Or
The
quote
point of
unquote.
him dying was so that Tony would leave him alone because
Yeah.
it's the plan was take Babe's power. So now
Mhm.
Babe is of no use to Tony. So Tony will leave Babe
Yeah.
alone.
And then
Charlie has
die.
the power, but if he dies, Tony doesn't understand the power. He doesn't know because he up until the point where he has Babe's power now. Um,
Mhm.
I don't think Tony knew what his power was, right? Because it wasn't an obvious power.
Yeah.
So now Charlie would be Tony's focus with Babe's power, and
Mhm.
then so it's okay. So if I die, I'm also not useful to Tony, and Tony doesn't know that Babe gets his power back.
Right. But
Um,
he doesn't actually want to die. He can't.
no,
He
he
should have
doesn't want
just
to die.
actually died at this point.
Yeah, but
Because now he just has to pretend to be dead for the rest of his life.
so I think the plan was that hopefully somebody would like because Charlie's still talking to Jeff, right? So Jeff is right in the middle of the plan of figuring everything out with Tony. So it's basically he only has to be dead long enough for Tony
Only
to
to-
get dealt with,
Yeah, that's true.
right?
And once Babe has his abilities back, it'll help. I don't know.
So because
Yeah, okay, I get the plan.
yeah, so my problem is Charlie like died on the table, right? Like I don't know, they like because so there's a point later in the show where they talk about how he has to take this medication every 3 hours or his powers start to come back.
Damn, that's often.
Right? And so that's where the older guy that's taking care of him is like, yeah, I'm looking for something other medicine to help solve this issue. So I guess there's a lot of research being done on this.
Okay.
Which is kind of valid because a lot of these powers I wouldn't want,
Yeah, especially like Jeff's.
right? Like uncontrollable like visions of the future, no thank you.
Yeah, that you can't
Um
even change anyway, so
yeah. So like I don't understand how like Charlie like flatlined, right?
yeah.
Um
I mean, I guess the doctor
like
faked it.
they would have had to give him something else, I guess, to like flatline him for that long because they like at one point they're like moving the body, I guess, and they inject him with something else and he like wakes up. I want to say is what happened. Um,
So yeah, I
but
guess and maybe did they have that doctor come like be the EMS and like,
I'm
you
not
know,
entirely sure. So
yeah.
that's a little where I'm like, okay, like that's unless there's like two different medications that were happening where one is like the one to like numb like drop the senses and the other one was like the night sleep.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm not entirely sure there, but like the overall plan was take Babe's powers from him, fake dying, um, and then
Yeah.
Babe would get his powers back. Tony wouldn't know that, but also Tony wouldn't have an interest in Charlie either because he's dead, right?
Yeah,
So
makes sense.
yeah,
And then Tony's plan was to have Charlie to be injured, so I guess if he's injured, he's easier to capture and bring back to the house or something.
I think there was something of like if I think Jeff pitched the story as if he's too scared because he can't race anymore, or like if he's injured to the point where he can't race anymore, there's no reason for him to be with X Hunter anymore because like the whole reason he's there is um is to race, right? So then if he doesn't have racing, then there's no reason for him to be like with the team, so then he'll come home.
I
I
don't
think is
understand
the story they
how
spun.
these people pick and choose who to kidnap and who to not. Because they're like they won't kidnap like they need Babe or and then eventually Charlie, but they just like don't they make like they just like don't kidnap them, but instead they're like, oh, we're just gonna kidnap Kim or we're gonna kidnap Jeff. But like, why don't you just kidnap the people you need to kidnap?
So my only guess is if you kidnap some of the more important people, you get too much attention brought on that, right? Like
I guess.
if Tony kidnaps Charlie, then first off, with Charlie with Babe's powers, I think has an easier like a way of getting out, right?
Yeah.
Like it's a lot harder because it's the
I mean,
same
it
if you could,
doesn't seem that hard to escape regardless, but yeah.
yeah. Um, so that's my guess. Other than that, I think it's just plot.
Yeah.
Is just because it's also like if you kidnap Charlie, Babe's gonna come after, and Babe's gonna burn the whole place down in the process. Um,
Yeah.
so okay, and then
That's fair.
so then after we get the whole backstory, what happened with Charlie, we get an Ellen ad for some skincare stuff. Um,
Yay.
and then Babe goes to see Pete. And somebody is tailing Babe on this and sends the video of the meeting to Kenta. Um,
Oh, that's a reversal.
yeah.
Usually
Surprised
it's
it wasn't
Kenta doing that.
right. Um, so I don't remember what Babe went to see Pete for. It was probably nothing useful.
Yeah.
So then Alan and Jeff have a roller skating date.
Okay. Just in the
It's
middle of all this, sure.
right. They have a roller skating date because Alan is still trying to woo Jeff in all of this, right?
Yeah.
And then Alan gets the matching bracelets. And then they have sex.
Okay.
Um,
Perfect. That's what we needed right now.
right?
I do like Alan and Jeff a lot though.
Yeah, I do too.
So I'm glad it's working out for them. But the
Yeah, it's
timing
just
is a little like
it's so weird.
yeah, it's a little strange and just cut in between all these scenes of like death and kidnapping and all
Yeah,
that.
the most drama, and then all of a sudden just
La la
a
la.
date. um, so and then we get a flashback scene of Pete and Kenta, who were friends as kids in Tony's house. So, ooh, big shock there.
Yeah.
Um, and then Kenta and Pete like officially ended their friendship because Pete was sneaking out to leave Tony's house, and like Kenta like was just there, and Pete's like, I can't support Tony when he's a bad person, and Kenta's like, I can't betray Tony, and I'm like, Kenta, what?
I know
um,
why. I just don't know why Kent is so ride or die for Tony.
because I don't know what Kenta's backstory is pre Tony.
Mm-hmm.
But Kenta says that Tony is the closest actual family, and he's actually made me feel like I have a family, and yada yada yada. And he's like, I can't betray that.
That's crazy because all we see of Kent and Tony is Tony slapping him and like splashing matcha in his face, you know?
Yeah, like their relationship is not good. Like Kenta also needs some therapy.
Yeah.
Because I have a soft spot for Kenta. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, he's just kind of a doofus, in my opinion. Like, I feel bad for him, but I'm like, you're not helping yourself at all.
no, I think it's some sort of like Stockholm syndrome, honestly,
Yeah.
of like this is my people.
Yeah, I mean, he's probably like, this is all I've ever known.
Yeah.
So.
So, and then we have another Pete and Babe meeting. Um,
A lot of meetings.
yeah, and Pete has a list of all the name, or maybe not all, but a lot of the names of the kids that have been sold. But no proof that Tony, was being paid for the kids, so they still can't get human trafficking charges on him.
Mm-hmm.
And Pete's like, why don't we use Way to get more information on Tony? Which Babe's just like, absolutely fucking not.
Huh.
Which we cut to a scene where Wei is drunk at the diner club again.
It's like the eighth time.
Right, and that's literally all we see is just him drunk there, and then we move on. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
which makes the next scene a little weird. But so Pete goes home, and Kenta ambushes him, and they fight, and Kenta's like crying while they're fighting, and and so then we have a flashback in the middle of this fight, and it's a flashback to like them sitting like outside on like a balcony or something like that, like on the top of some stairs, and they kiss. So they
Mm-hmm.
had a thing at some point.
Yeah.
So that explains. So this is the explanation for why Kenta won't kill Pete, right? Like
Yeah.
when he caught him on the rooftop thing earlier and he let him go, it's Kenta loves Pete.
Yeah, it makes sense.
So we're at a point where Kenta has Pete pinned to the ground and like a knife coming for his throat, and Pete's having to like do everything he can to like keep Kenta from like actually stabbing him, right? And then Wei comes out of nowhere, which again, he was just drunk at the bar, so I don't know. But he comes out of nowhere and like kicks Kenta off of Pete. And then Kenta runs away, and like Wei goes to like go after him, and Pete like grabs Wei and goes, "No, just let him go." And Wei's like, "What? Why are you gonna he was gonna kill you?" And Pete's like,
Yeah.
"No, he wasn't."
Yeah.
So
Kind of a little love triangle-y.
yeah. And then Pete and Wei have a cutesy moment while Wei is tending to Pete's wound because he does have like a cut on his neck. That's where we find out that Pete can read minds. Um,
Mm-hmm.
because apparently he was reading Kenta's mind of like he didn't want to kill him basically, and so that's where Pete was like, "Nah, he wasn't gonna kill me. It's fine."
Yeah. It's pretty convenient, yeah.
Pete is so nonchalant about so much.
I guess that's what happens when you can read minds. It's just like nothing's surprising to you.
Right? Like I don't want the mind reading power, but like to be so nonchalant would be nice. I feel like
Yeah,
I'm
right.
way too uptight
You
for
never have
that.
to like second guess yourself about pretty much anything or like the way that anyone like reacts or feels towards you.
Mhm. So so then we're back with Tony and Kenta, and Tony's mad because Kenta hasn't found any kids for him to sell.
I want another process of finding kids,
Yeah,
you know?
I don't know because I don't know how you tell like which kids are alphas or not because
I
like
know.
a lot of times like they're getting them so young that their powers haven't like expressed themselves, so they don't know, right? Because that's the
Yeah.
whole thing. Like Tony gets these kids so young, and then he kind of like develops their powers and like hones them and makes them stronger and whatever. Um, so I don't know.
Yeah. Just a little bit curious world building maybe for season 2.
Yeah. So then Alan and Jeff have sex again. Um,
Perfect.
um, actually, this might be them waking up after having sex from the date. I'm not entirely sure. Because it's just them in
Yeah.
bed. Like we don't see them having sex. It's just they wake up in bed. Um, or Jeff wakes up and he like goes outside to like drink some coffee, and Kenta shows up and kidnaps him. Um, so Jeff kidnapped again.
Oh my
Um,
god.
and then North and Sonic are like eating some fruit, and Babe's like brooding over in a corner. Um, and North like throws an apple or something at Babe, and it just whizzes right past him, and he doesn't catch it. And that's where Babe realizes kind of that his senses have come back, but his reflexes haven't. And he's like, I don't know what that's about. Um,
Yeah.
and then
Charlie hasn't taken his medicine yet.
yeah. So that's where we learn that Charlie has to inject himself for every 3 hours because we flash over to what Charlie's doing, or that his abilities come back after 3 hours. And I'm like, God,
That would suck.
my first thought was literally 3 hours while I'm asleep. I would never. I wouldn't wake up.
That was my first thought too.
And then Alan realizes that Jeff is just missing. So we caught it faster this time.
Yeah.
So Alan, North, and Sonic go follow the phone GPS to go find him, and they actually find like the phone's been discarded, and like some kids or something, like some teenagers have like gotten the phone, and they're all like, "Did you take this from?" And they're like, "No, we just found it on like the side of the road," because Kenta like threw it out the window or something like while they were driving.
Yeah.
So, and then we have another Pete Babe meetup. And Pete's like, "We need a third person for this plan to work." And Babe's like, "I don't want it to be Way," and then it's Way.
Yeah.
So it's now they have all the evidence of the trafficking, and they just the main thing they still need is that Tony was paid for his involvement, which is the thing they've needed like this entire time.
So okay, so why was Jeff kidnapped?
Because that is gonna be they're gonna have an auction soon, and Jeff is gonna be the big selling point.
Yeah, but like, is this just because
I think it's because they don't have anything else.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I was like, as far as like Tony knows, I guess like Jeff was like trying to help him with the whole accident scenario.
Yeah, so Jeff was trying to help with Charlie.
Yeah.
And so like I think Tony knows that like Jeff's like in between everything to an extent, but like I mean Jeff keeps going home to Tony, right? Like he keeps showing up regardless of if it's,
What?
willingly or not.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, so the plan is at whatever auction's about to happen is Jeff is gonna be the main like key auctioned item.
I love
guess.
how he just like doesn't fight back at all.
He's not a fighter.
He's not.
Jeff is not a fighter at all.
No.
Our little passive baby.
Yeah.
So then Kenta actually goes to visit our captive Jeff, and that's where we learn that Kenta's actually let Jeff go a couple times. Like he's caught him like sneaking around the house or whatever, and he's not caught him, and like he's just let him go and helped him escape. I think he probably helped him escape like the first time too. So, so now we have Babe and Pete's plan with Way dragged in, right? And they try to drag Kenta in, which is insane to me.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I would too. The way that Kenta's treated by Tony recently,
Yeah, but Kenta has shown no signs of jumping ship from that, right?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, maybe they think like if like Pete's on their side,
Yeah,
Not that that's
unconvinced.
worked in the past, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe Pete's doing some mind reading and being like, oh, he's got some wavering thoughts in there.
That's all I can think. Because Pete's like, I think Kenta's actually a good person and that he can change sides, and it's just like that's such bullshit, Pete. what are you talking about?
Yeah.
So like they're literally like on a rooftop or something, and it's like Pete and Babe, and then Kenta, and Kenta's like, no, I'm not gonna help you guys. Goodbye. And then he goes straight to Tony and goes, hey, I told them to back off. And Tony's like, are you fucking stupid? Like that wasn't enough. Why didn't you just kill them? And then
Yeah.
like this whole scene is so brutal for me because Tony looks at Kenta and goes, "I don't have any or I don't see any value in you anymore." And that just breaks Kenta. Like
Yeah.
Kenta is like on his knees and he is like begging Tony to like still see value in him and like whatever and give him another chance and he's apologizing for everything and Tony looks at him and goes, "I've never seen you as my son." Which is like the worst thing you could say to Kenta. Um,
Yeah. Because that's the whole
and
reason why he's stuck it out this long.
yeah, it's because he saw Tony as dad, right? Because that's everybody calls Tony Pa.
Yeah.
Um, the subs from the website I'm on has it as daddy, but it's Pa is what they're saying.
Yeah.
PA, it's Pa. Because daddy feels weird to me. Um, like Pa makes more sense. I can handle Pa. Like, but it's still I'm just gonna refer to him as Tony.
Daddy
Um,
Tony.
yeah. And so this next scene really confused me too. So there's like some minion of Tony's is walking out of this building with like this brown like briefcase thing. And like Wei uses his power to like get the bag from the minion and like he's going to leave and like Babe's there waiting with him and there's like a van in like the garage area they're in and Winter like opens the door and is like haha I got you guys and like at gunpoint um and I'm just
Yeah.
I don't know what the bag was because they end up not getting the bag, right? And so I don't know if it had just important information or something in it, like proof of whatever.
It must be. It must be some paperwork for the child selling.
Yeah. I'm not
I think
entirely
this is
sure.
what I was confusing the whole Kim situation with, because I was thinking about the briefcase that they didn't get.
Yeah. So Babe and Winter fight for a while and then Pete shows up and 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 Babe and Wei get into like Pete's car and they leave, but they don't have the bag. They don't get the bag. Right?
Mhm.
Um and then after that Tony announces a charity event for the very next day. Which
Yeah.
is like Pete gets like the text about it too, I think. And so that charity event, that auction for that is really a cover for auctioning the children. Um and Pete's like, I know somebody who got invited into this and they'll help us get in. Um
Yeah.
which is not how that goes either. I have questions.
Me too.
Um and then Pete says that the number one auction item is going to be a person who sees the future, which everybody is like, obviously that's Jeff. Okay, well, shit. Um,
Hmm.
and then Tony and Winter are talking, and Tony realizes that Babe's senses are back because of whatever the fight Winter had with Babe. So he's like, wait, wait a second. Um,
So, yeah, Charlie's whole plan is
yeah.
blown.
So in the meantime, we're back to Charlie, which for being like one of the main characters in this is very, very side. Not a whole lot going with him for like 2 or 3 episodes.
Yeah. I mean,
Um,
especially since his whole plan he set up is just like undermined by this one meeting with Tony, you know?
yeah, Tony and Winter of all people.
Yeah, right.
Right. So, I mean, I guess it was a good plan, but also he should have looped Babe in.
Yeah, that's okay, that's the other thing that makes no sense to me is why didn't he tell Babe about it? Like there's no
Right.
need to like make Babe suffer by thinking that his boyfriend died a tragic death right in front of him.
I genuinely have no idea because Charlie's not even doing anything like on his own. It's not like he's got some side plot of I'm gonna take down Tony by myself type of thing. Because he's literally just sitting around healing. Like he's walking around in crutches most of this time.
Yeah.
Um, so I think we're finally at a point where he's not on crutches anymore, but he was on crutches for a while where he was like, you just all you can do is sit. That's all you're
Yeah.
allowed to do. Right. And so he's snooping around the house he's in and he like finds like the scrapbook from the guy who he's staying with, like that older man. And it's like a scrapbook of everything that Babe has done, like every race he's done, like all the news clippings and everything for that. And of course, that guy like walks in, and Charlie's like, "Who the fuck are you? Like, what is your deal? Like, are you working with Tony? Like totally accusatory, right?" And then the guy goes, "Well, I'm Babe's dad, like his bio dad."
Of course.
It's like, oh, okay. And I'm so it's never explained, but I would love to know like how Jeff unintentionally connected with Babe's dad.
I know, yeah, they'll never go into it, but I am curious as well.
Right? And then the babe's dad had like this whole like, yeah, I am connected to people who are like making some serum to remove your alpha powers. Like there's a lot to unpack there that doesn't get unpacked.
Yeah, exactly.
Um so yeah, a lot of questions there that don't get answered, but now we know that Babe has been staying with, or excuse me, Charlie has been staying with Babe's dad. Um
Mhm.
and so we know that. And then we cut to, I guess, the next day where we're at Tony's auction. Um which is they're pretending to auction off the artwork from the kids, but they're actually auctioning the kids. And it's kind of interesting because it's like a room full of people in like this big open area, and it's apparently not everybody there knows what the auction actually is.
They're probably just
Oh,
like, "Damn, these paintings are going for a lot."
right? So I guess it's to keep it as a cover of we'll invite a lot of people, but like a handful of people actually know like what's really being bid. Um
Yeah.
And I'm guessing the ones that aren't in the loop, if they for some reason win an auction, it's because the kid wasn't interesting. And I would assume that Tony would keep that kid for another auction another day.
Yeah.
Is my guess how that would work. It's not very clear. Um, and then I'm gonna flash back to Pete saying, "I know somebody who can get us in," and I'm gonna flash forward to now where the whole crew, like the whole X Hunter team and Pete, just walk in.
Yep. Just like, okay.
Yeah, so they just walk in, and I'm like, where are the guards? You can't tell me there wouldn't be guards all over the place.
Like, at the freaking, like, child trafficking auction, there are no guards here.
Right? Especially, they have to know that the babe's gonna have found out, and he's gonna, like, the team's gonna show up, especially coming for Jeff, right?
Yeah, like, yeah, I don't know if everyone's, like, quit Tony's team because he's been such an ass to everyone recently or, like, what's going on here.
Yeah, I don't. They all walk in, so I have a bone to pick on that because that just doesn't make sense to me. But
No.
it is what it is. It's fine, I guess. We'll move on. Um, but so they get in, and then they kind of like split up. So Alan is going straight to wherever Jeff is. I don't know how he knows where Jeff is, but he goes straight to Jeff. Um,
Yeah. And Jeff is just sitting in, like, a freaking line with a bunch of children.
right. It's so awkward because it's literally like a bunch of 10-year-olds and then Jeff.
Yeah.
Um,
Like, Jeff's
so
like an adult, you know? Like, why? I don't understand how he's even being auctioned, you know?
right, like I don't get it either. Like,
Like, these children have, like, no agency, but Jeff does, you know? He's, like, a
yeah,
student, he's a job, he's, like, living with Alan and stuff, so it's like, I don't why is he there?
right. Like, because I know like trafficking happens to like adults all the time. Like that's like a I've watched Taken a million times, but it's one of those I would expect it to be like you're gonna remove them from like the city they live in, but that's not the case here, right? Like the kids are still like nearby most of the time, or like
Yeah.
at the very least they're still in Thailand, whatever. So like from what I know of like trafficking in the U.S., it's a lot of times they do also still stay in the U.S., right? But like they're not gonna like if they take you from whatever city you're in, they're probably not gonna leave you in that city. Um,
Yeah, right?
that's how you get spotted by like people you know if you happen to like if they happen to let them out at some point for something. I don't know. Generally I don't think they let them out, but still, um, like I don't entirely understand how this works because
Me yeah. The business model's a little
it's also I guess
flawed.
I don't entirely know what they're gonna do with all the kids, right? Because it's not like so like human trafficking usually is a sexual aspect, right? But I don't like that's not implied here ever, as far as I remember.
No,
Right? It's all for the power.
yeah, and so that's I was wondering too, like, okay, so let's say you win a child in this auction, what are you gonna do with them? Like, I guess, like, Babe makes sense because he's really good at athletic type things, so you could use him to make a lot of money, but, like, what are you gonna do with someone who can just get, like, random, uncontrolled glimpses of the future that he can't even change, you know? Like, how is that gonna, like, help you?
Right? He's not getting like the lottery numbers or something like that. The only thing I guess I can think is you know, you anticipate if he gets like a vision of like somebody coming to attack you so you can up your security. Because like these people that are buying the kids, whatever, obviously not good people, right? Um,
Yeah.
so, but
But
yeah,
even then, if like anything you do won't change the outcome, it's like, okay. Like Jeff's
yeah.
power is like honestly useless, you know?
Yeah.
Like it's like a cool power to see the future, but if like there's nothing you can do that'll ever change the outcome, it's at the end of the day like not going to help you with anything other than just be anxious.
Yeah, that's where, I mean, maybe they don't know that you can't change it.
Yeah, I guess not.
So Tony's never like tried to make it change, you know?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, and like with Babe, you put him in some sort of Fight Club nonsense, or you make him a security, like head of security type of a thing, you know? Um, bodyguard, something like that.
Yeah.
Um, and I mean, I guess there's some like Pete's with the mind reading. You can, you know, have him brush up against. I don't know if he has to be touching or not, like what the deal is there, but you know, you have him read the minds of like people you're doing business deals with, type
Yeah,
of
that's
thing.
quite useful.
So yeah, like I see it on those aspects, but it's again like I don't, you know, when they're young, you get that like Stockholm syndrome type of a thing, right? Where it makes sense that they stay, right? Like you raise them in the situation, you convince them that there's no way out, type of a deal. Like I can see it that way, but then somebody who's like clearly like 20, older than 20, like it doesn't. I don't know how you make them stay because I'd
Yeah.
assume that you can't just drug them up and keep them drugged up, like you know, because I would assume that would affect the power.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of my question as well.
So I don't entirely understand how that would have gone with Jeff unless they literally just like leave him like tied up somewhere and just wait for him to, because it's also like his visions seem to come when he's in certain situations, like they don't, like either he's touched somebody recently or something like that, because it's like he was standoffish on the touching thing because it does trigger it,
Mhm.
right? So it's not like you could just leave him locked in a room and wait for him to write down every time he has a vision.
Yeah,
um
right.
so there's a lot of questions there that I don't have answers to.
Yeah.
So but yeah, so Alan goes to Jeff. Pete and Way actually go to the auction. And at first, Tony doesn't want to let them in, but then he lets them in. Um,
Like,
and
okay.
then, yeah, and then Babe goes off on his own, and North and Sonic also go off somewhere. And so Babe, of course, is on his own. He's fighting off dudes, whatever. And then he runs into two guys, and he can't handle them at the same time. One of them like clocks him in the head with like one of those like sticks that like expands out. Um, so
Mhm.
pretty significant like head trauma like there. And so he's on the
Oh, this guy's
ground,
got like so many concussions at this point.
right? Like the amount of blood that just immediately showed up. Um, and so like he's on the ground, and I think the guy's going to hit him again, and Charlie just comes out of nowhere to help.
Ugh.
So again, Pete was like, "Yeah, I got somebody who can get us in." Which maybe it was get into the auction itself, and that's how Pete got into the auction instead of like the building, right? So maybe that's where that came in. Um,
I guess.
But the fact that they could still just walk into the building is beyond me. Because it's not like it's a
Yeah.
public building. It's literally like Tony's building, from my understanding.
Yeah.
Um,
Like also why would Charlie be there in the first place? Like literally his plan is to lay low until Tony's arrested.
I I think I would assume that. Well, I don't even know how you would know anything because Jeff was his source of everything, but Jeff's been held captive at this point.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's he realized that Jeff got held captive and he was like, "Fine, I'll also go help."
Yeah.
I don't know who else would have looped him in on anything.
I don't
Um,
he probably just lost contact with Jeff or something.
yeah. And went on his own rescue mission, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he goes to rescue Babe. Um, Babe needs help, and then they have a reunion, and there's a lot of crying again, and and then that's where Charlie's like, "I got this magic serum that takes away my senses, and that's why your senses are back." Yada yada yada. And there's a lot of apologizing and whatever, and like Charlie explains kind of his plan. And then they go off to Tony's office to go look for evidence. Um, which Winter like spots them, and he goes and tells Tony that Babe and Charlie are here.
Yeah.
and And then Winter also just goes to Tony's office and holds Babe and Charlie at gunpoint, and then Tony shows up. So Babe and Charlie are now held captive.
Babe's not even that mad that Charlie like faked his death.
I think he's just so happy that he's
Yeah,
not actually dead. Like
I would be. Oh my god, I'd be so confused and then angry.
I would be thrilled, and my anger would come later,
Yeah,
right? Like I think I would have to compartmentalize a lot in that moment because they are in a very high risk situation anyway, where
yeah,
there's
that's
no
true.
guarantee they're gonna come out alive.
Yeah,
So let's get out alive, and then I'm gonna beat the
that,
shit out of you. Um,
yeah. Your stupid ass plan.
right? Like there's no reason for Charlie not to tell Babe.
I know. Honestly, though, there is reason for him to tell Babe, and that's so Babe can hide his sense when he gets it back. But because he doesn't know that, it blows the whole goddamn plan.
right? Like I get not telling him in the beginning, honestly. Because I think he needed Babe to have that grief reaction in front of everybody. Because when Babe like loses it in the hospital, like all of the team
Mhm.
is there.
Yeah,
So I would assume he needed that. But then he could have had like Jeff pull him aside and be like, "Hey,
yeah,
sorry to traumatize you like this, but we're gonna not drag it out.
yeah, right?
Charlie is alive. Like there was ways to not do that.
Yeah,
But
I,
still,
I agree. That's one of my biggest questions in the show.
yeah,
Another one of my biggest questions is, um, I don't know if we got to this or not, or if it's coming up, but, when when Alan goes to find Jeff at the auction, Jeff is just like sitting there politely with all these kids, and then Alan's like, "Let's go," and then him and Jeff just like get up and leave. It's like Jeff, you could have done that on your own. You didn't need someone to come and.
so there were guards, but Alan took them out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I was just like, why? Like Jeff's just like going along with this, I
yeah.
guess. You know.
Our little passive child
Yeah.
just got
Right.
there, but no, because that's you see like a glimpse of it in like the beginning of the scene where Alan like clocks one of the guards and knocks him out, and that's where he's like, "You got to go right now." Um,
Jeff's just like a damsel in distress all the time.
he is. I love him, but like
Yeah.
kind of useless.
But like, try to try to do something.
Yeah. So Babe and Charlie are held captive by Winter and Tony. Um, Kenta then runs into Alan and Jeff, which is an oh shit moment, right?
Hmm.
But then he reaches into his like pants pocket, and it's giving such the impression he's about to pull a gun out, but he actually pulls out a flash drive with all the evidence against Tony.
Perfect.
Right? And this is reason number one, you don't tell your right-handed man that you see no value in him and he is no longer your son, or he was never your son, right? Like this is reason number
Yeah.
one.
Like,
Um,
yeah, how did he think it was such a good idea to be so like horrible to the one person who was like loyal to him?
right? Um, so Kenta hands that to them and then lets them go. It's like, and so Alan and Jeff, they call North and Sonic. They're like, "Come here real quick. We have it." Right? Cool. Um, so and then we're back to the auction, and Pete is bidding in the auction, which is kind of crazy to me, but you know,
Is that just like to
I think so.
save one of the kids or to
I no, I
distract?
I think it's to make it look like he's actually there for the reason of the auction,
Oh,
right?
okay.
And Tony comes back to the auction, and he comes back with like this giant like photo of Babe. um, and he's like, I'm here to auction off Babe now. He couldn't be here at the moment, but he gave us his racing suit, and that's what we're gonna auction off, which is really code for we're auctioning Babe off right now because right he's being held captive.
Yeah.
Um, so that's they're doing the bid for Babe at this point. Because he is now the most important bid in all of this, right? Uh
Yeah, we don't have time for that impregnation stuff anymore.
no, we're just
It's the
gonna
best we can do.
yeah. And then North and Sonic have the flash drive, and they're trying to upload all of the proof of Tony trafficking kids on the internet. Um and they're going through what Kenta gave them, and there's a clip of Tony like straight up murdering a kid on camera. Because I think it was one of those of like testing his reflexes type of a thing, like his senses. And so like the kid's sitting like on the ground with his back to Tony, and Tony comes and slashes um the kid.
Oh, is that the
And
slashing he does? Or is that a different slashing?
so that I'm not sure because in my notes it was like he slashed at like an event, but
Oh,
like
okay.
but then this is something that happened just in the room. So I don't know if I misunderstood, but it could be that that was what that was. Um so that clip is what North and Sonic upload to the internet, which is insane.
That is.
Um but like so they upload that, and then like everybody in the room like starts getting notifications, I guess, of like this video. And so they're all watching Tony like kill a kid on their phones, and Tony like looks at it, and so then they Tony and Alan and Jeff crash the auction, right? So and Jeff is like calling out that like this isn't a charity auction but human trafficking and whatever, and Tony's like shut up, right? Like so they do that, and that's when the notifications start coming in with the proof that Tony killed a kid. And the Tony's immediately like, don't let anybody leave this auction. And so all the guards all draw their guns, specifically on Pete, Way, Alan, and Jeff.
Yeah.
And then one of the guards hands Tony an Uzi, which is wild. And I'm like, okay, we skipped the like the regular handguns and went to an Uzi.
I
Got it.
love that Tony isn't above doing the dirty work himself.
Well, he has to. Like his team is so incompetent.
They are, yeah. He's the only one who's actually killed someone this whole show.
Honestly. And then Babe and Charlie get brought into the room. So now everybody's really, besides North and Sonic, everybody else is in the room. Um and Babe and Charlie are like on their knees in the middle of all of the and like all the people from the auction are like still there, right? So like some of these people are legit just here for a charity auction.
Oh no.
So, and then Winter finds North and Sonic, and the scene was so funny because North and Sonic are still going through trying to upload stuff, and like Winter like hits like North in the shoulder with his gun, and North doesn't even look up and just like bats him away. Is like, go away, I don't have time right now. Right, not paying
Yeah.
attention. It's a very, very North thing to do. And Winter keeps like trying to get his attention. And North is just not having it. And finally like Sonic looks up and goes, "Oh shit." And so Winter is like holding them hostage at gunpoint as he does. And then Kim comes out of nowhere and saves them.
Where was Kim?
I don't know where he was this entire time, but he's there now. And then they have Kim or Winter with like sitting on the ground, and they're standing over him, and he's giving them finger hearts. I'm like, sorry guys, and it's such a wild like this whole scene is so wild,
Yeah.
and then the three of them just kick the shit out of Winter until he's unconscious. I actually thought they killed him at first
Yeah.
because like the way he like falls to the ground, his eyes are like half open. I'm like, is he unconscious or is he dead? Um,
Yeah.
so, but he's just unconscious, and so then we're back into the auction room. Um, And then like Babe and Alan like make eye contact and they nod and they both go after some of the guns. And then everybody is going after the guns. And there's some lady in the background who she's supposed to be screaming in fear, but it's just like a constant like yelp, like yelp, 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 yelp. There's such a weird noise. It took me out.
Oh my god, there are women in the show.
You don't do you see? I don't even know if you see her. You just hear her. Um,
Okay.
um I don't remember seeing her. We might have
Yeah.
seen her. Because I remember most auction people being men, but yeah,
Yeah.
this is the first time we've really seen a woman in the show. Um,
Yeah.
and so at this point, everybody's scrambling to hide because people are shooting like crazy. So, Alan, Jeff, and are behind or like to the side of a bar. Um, Babe and Charlie originally are behind this one like statue, this piece of artwork, but like the center is cut out. So like it's not a very good hiding spot. And like Babe gets Charlie over to where Alan and Jeff are. So then Charlie's also by the bar. And then Wade and Pete are behind another piece of like artwork, like another statue thing, but it's like a solid one, so it's actually not that bad to hide behind. I don't know that it would handle a bullet very well, but you know, So they're all there, and there's a little bit of a standoff. There's whatever, and then for some reason, Wei goes to Babe. I don't know why, but he does, and he gets exposed because of that. And so Tony shoots him twice in the back.
For,
Right,
for nothing. Wait.
right. I don't
Like,
like. I don't understand what the point was.
no, he
Um,
doesn't even have like a. It's not even like a hero moment, you
no,
know?
it's such a dumb move, and so he's just like lying on the ground, like dying at that point. Um,
Yeah.
because like nobody really has like a lot of time to like pay attention to him, right? Because he's exposed, so you can't do anything about it. But Babe does shoot Tony because Tony's literally just like standing out in the open, right?
Yeah, at
Like
least the other ones found like a piece of artwork to hide behind, but
so Tony was hiding behind something, but he walked out after he shot Wei, and he's just walking out in the open. So Babe shoots him again. So he's back on the ground, I think, and then they talk some more nonsense, and then he gets up, and I think Babe's out of ammo at this point, and I don't think anybody else has a gun. I guess Pete is also out of ammo because Pete had a gun at some point.
uh-huh.
So I don't know. So Tony's starting to walk towards Babe. And he instead of aiming the gun at Babe, he starts to aim the gun at Charlie. Um, and Pete also moved to the bar at this point. So the four of them are sitting next to the bar, but they're not like huddled close together. They're in like a line. So they're not hiding very well to begin with, but I also at this point Tony's walked up again and it's just whatever. Um but then Kenta comes up behind Tony and stabs him in the back. And then Tony turns around and and Kenta stabs him in the front. And this is reason number 2 that you don't tell your loyal minions that they're not valuable.
Yeah.
And so then Tony dies. Like he's on the ground and there's so much blood under him. This is important. There's so much blood,
Uh-huh.
right? And so Wei is not dead yet. And so Babe and Wei have this moment where Babe is like holding a dying Wei and they're like apologizing and saying I love you to each other and it's our friendship. Like their friendship is cured, right? In this moment. There's a lot of crying. Because then Pete also comes and is crying, and like everybody else, like North and Sonic show up at this point, and they're also crying, and just everybody's crying. Um,
Yeah.
so the scene, there's a lot that happened in the scene, and I don't.
It's a
Babe's
mess.
statue he was hiding behind, and then Tony just walking out in the open. I don't. I guess cockiness is a factor. I don't know. Um,
Yeah.
so and then we cut to Way's funeral.
Okay.
And everybody's crying again, right? So there's a lot of flowers being left, a lot of like speeches of I love yous and whatever. And Wei had this necklace that Babe had given him. It was like a steering wheel or like a tire or something like that, right? And Wei like early on in the show like threw it out his car window at some point because he was mad at Babe. And Babe actually grabbed it and like has had it this entire time. So he leaves it on the like not the casket, like on the grave. And then the weirdest Charlie scene in existence. Babe and Charlie are literally leaving the grave. Like they're 5-10 feet away from it. You see it in the background, right? And Charlie's just like, so babe, what do you want to eat? And Babe's like,
Casually.
right, like he's like not sad anymore. Like I wouldn't say he's like joyful, but like he's way perkier than I would expect somebody to be in that situation. And Babe's like, I don't really feel like eating right now, right? And like I get Charlie wouldn't be grieving over Wei. Like I get that, but he clearly Babe is. And like clearly, yes, you need to make Babe eat, but like this isn't the move. This isn't how you do that.
It's also funny that they like just from like a editing perspective, like why didn't they just choose to end the scene on them like walking away from the grave?
Right? Like they could have, like if they were going to talk about like the eating thing or whatever, because like the next thing is like Charlie's like, I just want to make you smile, and Babe's like, I just want to smile, right? Like, and I'm like, okay, it's not the time. Like maybe grieve for more than 30 seconds.
Yeah.
So then we have this whole thing where Babe gets to meet his dad, and it's like at their old house, I think. And so we get this backstory on why the dad like sold Babe to Tony because Babe's like, "How could you do that to me?" type of thing. And like Babe was apparently really sick, and he was in the hospital, and like both of them, they were homeless, and his dad had no money, and it was like that was basically the only option he had to like save Babe. And so it's a big emotional scene again, of like Babe being like, I've been so hurt this entire time, whatever, yada yada yada. There's a lot of crying, and then they hug it out.
Yeah.
So
Babe is extremely forgiving, I feel.
yeah, I think he just wants to be loved in the end. To
Yeah,
be like, I think that's what it comes down to.
because everyone that's like wronged him in the past, other than Tony, he's
Yeah.
forgiven.
So we cut from that scene to Alan and Jeff having sex again.
Why is this necessary?
I don't know. Like there's no point to this scene other than there's just all of a sudden there's a sex scene.
Yeah. The
Which
thing is, like, the first half of the show was all Babe and Charlie sex scenes, and then the second half of the show, there's like none of that, and then it's all Al and Jeff.
oh, we're about to get the last one.
Oh, right, okay.
So Alan and Jeff have sex, and then we cut to the racing thing, and Kim is now a racer for X Hunter. Kim is like on the racetrack waiting for the race to start, and then we cut to Babe and Charlie having sex in the locker room.
This ending is so rushed.
Yeah, and so they're having sex in the locker room, and then they go out on the track to also race. So they're both racing. So now we again have 3 racers from X Hunter on this race, and they like walk out like holding hands, and everybody's like cheering about it and whatever. And then like Charlie tells Babe that he loves him, and then Babe says I love you too after being shy all of a sudden, and then they kiss, and then we have the most random scene of there's a random Alan, Jeff, Charlie, Babe picnic.
And they're
Like
like, that's what we want to end our show on.
that is literally how the show ends is this picnic of just the 4 of them being cute.
It's a lot.
We go from like this really dramatic conclusion to like everything the show has been building up to, right? With the human trafficking and everything, and Tony is now dead and whatever, and I mean, I guess you don't really get like a full like grasp on everything that's happened besides that, because I mean, you can infer that, you know, Winter's gonna go to jail, Kenta is probably gonna go to jail, you know, all of that, whatever. But like, really, you don't. Tony's dead, and that's the end of it, right? Like, there's no wrap up of what happened to the kids. There's nothing. It's just Alan, Jeff, Charlie, and Babe lived happily ever after.
Yeah, I kind of think that maybe they didn't expect the show to get as popular as it did. And so they weren't planning to like make a season 2 right off the bat, or they weren't like relying on it, so they wanted to wrap this up like just, as much as they like could with the time they had left. And so cuz I would have thought like there were better spots to leave it on like a cliffhanger kind of thing for like season 2, but yeah, I don't think they like planned on it originally.
Yeah,
Which is why we have this whole like super rushed like even though in universe from Way dying to this end, it's probably like a good amount of time. But in the show, like the
it
runtime of
happened
the
so
show,
fast.
it's like 4 or 5 minutes. And
Yeah,
so it's kind of like they seem like they'd give it like just a really quick rushed little epilogue thing, like just in case there was like no more of the show being made.
yeah, because I think from the moment Tony dies, which kind of ends everything in the fight at the auction scene, I think from that to the end of the show was maybe 15 minutes.
Yeah.
So the funeral, Babe meeting his dad, the 2 sex scenes, like in the picnic, all in like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
So it was a lot.
Yeah. And that's the thing that like we kind of go on to now, because now we know they plan to make a season 2. It's like what could possibly happen, because like the main conflict of the show is gone. Like, Tony's dead, like Way is dead, everyone's happy and they're having picnics. Like, what's gonna happen in season 2?
Yeah. So the pilot for season 2 came out 3 months ago. Um
Like,
so
right, like a week after the show finished airing. I swear to God.
yeah, that would be about the time I think. Maybe a couple months after. I don't entirely remember. Let me.
Yeah.
So it ended in February, and 3 months ago would have been May, I think is when.
Okay. But it was like in really close succession.
Yeah. So We got the pilot on April 25th. So there's
Okay.
about 2.5 months, I would say, in between when the show ended and when we got the pilot, which is still, I
Yeah.
think, really fast for a sequel to get announced. That
Yeah, I
wasn't like
feel
a pre-planned sequel.
extremely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the pilot is very strange. I was honestly
I
was
have
like, what
so
is
many
this?
questions.
Me too. Yeah, you can get into the pilot because I have many questions.
So the pilot starts with Winter is in jail getting beat up. And then Kenta is also there, and so they're talking. And then some other person walks up. I have no idea who this character is.
I
But
don't know either. They could have been in the show this whole time. there's so many people. I can't
but
track.
I it would have either been from like the Red Racing team, whatever their name was, or working directly with Tony. And
Mhm.
I don't remember anyone that we didn't talk about. It was always Kenta and Winter.
I guess
Um
yeah, new character.
I guess I have no idea, but like the way like he talks, so it's like Kenta and Winter are like bickering, and then he walks up. This third character walks up and like steals like the cigarette out of Kenta's mouth, and he is like, the trio's all here, and I'm like,
Rio.
what trio? Like the way it's phrased is like he's been here the entire time. And so then they start fighting, and then the guards like come up, and somebody else walks up, and you just see stunned look on everybody's face. So it's somebody who would have also been aware of like the same people that Kenta and Winter are aware of, right? So we have that, and then all of a sudden, Babe is having a trauma nightmare, which doesn't surprise me. It's like
Mhm.
it's like him like chasing after like Charlie in like a dark alley, and then he grabs him and turns him around, and it's actually Wei, and then all of a sudden it's Tony, and just the whole thing, and then he like wakes up, and and he's in bed, and Charlie's there, and they're kissing. Um, and then we have like this reunion at Waves at Wait. We have a reunion at Way's grave, with the ex Hunter team, and Pete are all back there. I don't know if it's like the 1 year anniversary of his death or something like that. My guess is that's what it is. So they're all there to celebrate, and like Sonic is like back apparently, so I guess he's been gone for a while. That type of thing going on, and then so they're all there like leaving flowers or whatever. And then the jail trio, as I called them, so Kenta, Winter, and Mystery Man, like roll up in a SUV, like a little ways away, and just stop and look at the window and watch this like reunion at this grave. And I'm just like, how did nobody else see that? Because like the grave is like out in the woods somewhere next to like some water or something like that. Like not in a graveyard. Like it would have been really obvious if another car came out of nowhere, because it's not like there were any cars in view. Like even like the group that's there at the grave, I don't know where they parked because they would have had to walk for a while. Um so but yeah, those three, they literally just stop and just look out the window at the grave. So again, this third
Yeah.
person, I don't know who it is just there. And then
Okay.
major spoilers. Um Wei is like on one side in the woods, like watching everything with kind of a smirk on his face, and Tony's like on the other side, also watching everything. So apparently they're both alive. Um
Like, what?
I don't understand. I don't know. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not super mad that Way's alive. I don't under it doesn't make sense to me.
No. It makes no sense to me at all. This is the third time that the show has like killed someone off and then just been like, JK.
Yeah. So like Way, like I could have seen him survive anyway. So he got shot in like the lower back on like the left side, and then he got shot towards the middle so of his back. So like I don't know anything about anatomy. So for real, but like I can see, depending, like maybe he survives that, whatever, sure. Tony, we watched how much blood came out of him. That one
Yeah.
makes no sense to me.
Didn't he get like shot twice and stabbed twice?
Yeah, so he got shot in the gut, and then he got stabbed in the back, and then stabbed in the gut, right? Like, and then
Yeah.
like all of his blood pulled out.
So, okay, the only thing I was thinking is maybe like Tony is a special alpha and his ability is to like not die or something, you know?
Oh, that'd be crazy.
That's the
Um,
only thing I could possibly think of that would like make sense. I don't know why Wei would be alive then too, because we literally like went to his funeral, so if they didn't bury Wei, who did they bury?
I mean, did they bury anybody? Because we already did this once with Charlie.
Yeah, right? Yeah, that's so true.
So
So,
I
yeah. They're
I
all
have
having
no
like
idea.
closed casket funerals.
Yeah, so it's not, and this is, I don't know anything about Thai culture when it comes to funerals either. So there's that too. Like, um, haven't quite got that far with everything. Because like the my stand-in funeral, it was much different from like this one, right? Like, but that was
Yeah,
a cremation things, and there was like a Buddhist aspect to it, whereas there
yeah.
really wanted this, um, because it was literally just like a grave out in the middle of nowhere,
Mhm.
and it's almost like a mausoleum type of a thing, right? Like not mausoleum, but like above ground, like a whole marble thing, like where the
Yeah.
casket would be. Um, so I'm not sure about all of that so much, but yeah, it's the situation's weird. Um, I know that was like a big thing when Change like announced the show like live. Everyone freaked out because all of a sudden Wei and Tony are back. Um, which
Yeah. It makes no sense. I genuinely feel like they just did not plan to have a second season.
so again, I really need to finish the novel.
Yeah.
Because like apparently there was quite a bit left out of the novel from the show. So I think that's gonna impact what the second season is about, but I think they're gonna also have to just embellish a lot and come up with a lot.
We're gonna have to
Um,
kill Tony again.
right? Like I really need a way to have his redemption arc. Like I need Wei and Pete to be a thing. If Pete and Kenta aren't gonna be a thing, I need Wei and Pete to be a thing.
Yeah, that's the other thing. I'm kind of curious how that whole love triangle will like because during the show I couldn't tell who they were like leaning towards a little more.
Yeah,
Like I feel like they were leaning a little more towards Pete and Wei, but then
I
they
think
went up with the whole Kenta thing, so
I think it was Pete was interested in Wei, but Kenta never really resolved his feelings for Pete.
yeah.
Is kind of how it was. I mean, we could just make them a throuple. I'd be fine with that too.
Yeah, I honestly I'm down. Like who
I
cares anymore? Fucking
Yeah. I mean,
I'm
we already
always
got
down for a throuple, so
yeah. We it's already Omegaverse. What else can we do at this point, right?
I just
Like,
like hate love triangles so much that I would rather they just all be a throuple than have to deal with them fighting it out.
I mean, I don't mind a love triangle when it's Boeing and
But wouldn't it have
Sandray.
been better if it was a throuple? Or at least a threesome, you know?
Ray finally gets his threesome. Um,
Yeah, right?
so yeah. But yeah. So I have no idea about season two. They haven't started filming it yet. The actors that play Alan and Jeff are their show is currently airing. That's the No Long Beans one.
Yeah,
I can
this
never
love
remember.
doesn't have long beans, I think.
Yeah, I can never remember the name of it. I just know it's got long beans in it.
Yeah, yeah. It's a long
Um,
title.
so there's that, and then Supernut has another show as well where it's him and a harem of men. But I don't think
Mhm.
that's gonna film until next year because there's some scripting issues with that. I don't
Yeah.
know if anyone else from Pit Babe has any other
I mean,
schedule conflicts.
Pooh and Pavel have like announced that they're gonna
Oh,
be in that other like
yeah.
horror type show, but we don't know like anything about that, I feel.
Yeah, Goddess Bless You from Death is the other one.
Yeah.
So I'm seeing comments on my drama list that Pit Babe 2 should come first.
Okay.
But I don't know. I haven't seen anything one way or another.
Okay.
Somebody's like, I don't need Babe to be pregnant, but I would love to see Charlie and Babe with children.
I mean, that's how you get the children.
Right? Like they're not gonna do that and not give us pregnant Babe. That's just
Yeah. That's the other big question. Do you think Pit Babe season 2 will have the mpreg?
I don't think so.
I don't think they're brave enough.
I don't either.
Yeah. The fact that there's no like omegas even in this universe, I
Right?
don't
Yeah,
know.
like it's not addressed because it's. I don't know if they've kept North Canon as an Omega, and I don't even know what like being an Omega means in this universe, right? Because we
Yeah,
know has the special powers, and then you have Enigmas that are their own thing, and that's
no betas, no omegas.
yeah.
Yeah, I think they won't commit, unfortunately. Could be fun to see, I don't know, but I mean, I don't want like forced pregnancy, but
Hey, that guy that we didn't recognize,
yeah.
was that Dean?
Oh, it might have been Dean. That would make sense.
Yeah, I was going through the cast list for season 2, and Dean's listed on there.
I honestly
Oh,
like don't know what Dean looks like.
I
I feel like I didn't like
yeah.
see him enough.
This photo of Dean looks so much like Babe to me, or to Pavel. Um, his MDL
Oh,
page, his
wait,
profile
it
picture.
really does.
It does. It's so trippy because I don't think he
Whoa.
like in actuality I don't think he looks like Pavel. But that photo, every time I see it when I'm scrolling through, I'm like, why is Pavel so far down this list?
Got like the same stylist for this photo.
Yeah, the actor that plays Dean is also in Long Beans.
And he's gonna be in the Superness show, the I'm the Most Beautiful Count, as a main role, it says. So maybe he's in the harem.
He is.
Whoa. I didn't know that.
Winter is also part of the harem.
Oh my god. Wait, is Pete as
And
well?
yes,
Oh my god. I love that the change 20 whatever company.
2561, I think.
Yeah, I love that
Yeah,
this is like their only group of actors. So
they're all
like
just in
Pip
everything.
Babe, yeah, Pip Babe Long Beans, and then I'm the Most Beautiful Count. It's just like reunion.
Hmm. Yeah, there's one more from the count that's part of the harem. His that is not in anything else.
Okay.
He ooh, he's a he's only 17.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
is he in the harem? Because
I hope not.
I hope not
Because
either.
Supernut is 31.
Yeah.
And so is Ping that played Pete. He's
Yeah.
also 31, or he turns 31, I guess, this year.
Maybe he's like gonna be like Nuts' brother or something.
Maybe I
You
might have to
know.
go rewatch the trailer to
Yeah.
to go see, because I thought there was 4 guys, but maybe there's only 3.
Oh god, please
Yeah,
not another freaking like barcode Kinforce situation.
for real.
Yeah, I can't do it
No,
again.
no, because that's like the from 4 minutes is already pushing it for me.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so fair.
Even with the confusing plot, I will say I still really enjoyed watching Pit Babe.
I
Um,
did too. It's fun to watch, and honestly